Where am I? I take a deep breath in, which promptly turns into a coughing fit as I spit something on the ground. Ack. Disgusting. This is entirely too disgraceful. I hope there is no one around to witness my shame. The thought is born and dies in an instant. I struggle to remain calm, but I can already feel the onset of panic. I smell dampness, old stones, and rust. This is not my bedroom, nor is it any hospital I would be sent to. What has happened? I am lost. The stone bricks I can see through my waterfall of blonde hair are oddly well defined, as if the distance did not affect my sight. Darkness is now just deeper shade instead of an impenetrable veil. I can hear individual sounds of dripping water and groaning wood with perfect clarity instead of as background noise. The air smells of dampness and iron, and the taste on my tongue is as cloying as it is distracting. Every sensation is magnified, and each one catches my attention briefly before another one takes over in a disorienting dance. Soon, the sensory overload grows into a stabbing pain just behind my eyes. I feel sick. I need to understand. I take stock of my situation and shiver in fright. My wrists are shackled. My legs are on the floor, the skin scraped raw. I feel the coarse fabric of a simple tunic on my shoulders, and oh, I am not wearing undergarments. Someone may have seen me without. I cannot bear the thought. I twist a bit and feel wet hair plastered to my skull, falling to my shoulders. I see my legs, coming out of a rough piece of fabric. They are even paler than usual and dotted with red spots, which I realize is blood. The very same blood I spat earlier. I breathe deeper to control my fear. I shall not break down. I shall not scream. I am no tender flower from Charleston to faint at the mere sight of the crimson liquid. I am made from sterner stock. My fear does not recede, yet I am once more in control of myself. I do not know exactly the predicament I find myself in, but I know that panic shall not help. I will not succumb to it. Wary, I continue my inspection. Bare walls of the ubiquitous gray stone and a single massive door with a barred window. Is this a farce? I am in a dungeon. I must be dreaming. Yes, this is a dream and I am still asleep. Or perhaps I am quite mad, and this is one of those hospices I have heard so much about, and what is this? I am wearing rags. Even slaves would not wear such a thing. I swear, I will get to the bottom of this, or my name isn't. I am. Cannot focus. My thoughts are a jumble of impressions and emotions, of needs I do not understand. They slip away before I can grasp them fully. I shake my head and bite my lips to clear them, to no effect. Nothing works. I cannot recall my name. I must recall my name. Unbidden, my mouth opens and the sound escapes. Ariane. The pain. I bend forward as much as I can while my throat burns me. Soon, the agony extends to my stomach and tears me from inside. My mind blanks from the sheer intensity. This is 100 times worse than anything I have ever felt. God, please, make it stop. Make it stop. Someone, anyone. And it seems someone listened to my prayer. I can hear the clang of a door open far in front of me. 3 sets of footsteps approach. Faster, I beg you. Told ya I heard something. Sun just set, so it's possible. Despite the lack of any light source, I can see with great clarity the face of my would-be savior, and now I know for sure that I am doomed. This man looks like a highwayman. Why, if I met him in the street, I would immediately flee and call for the nearest guard. He has unkempt black hair and a greasy beard that he must not have trimmed in months. Yet even then I could take him for a laborer were it not for a pair of insane blue eyes that freeze my very soul. The man smiles and displays a full set of uneven teeth. How very chilling. And yet I know with certainty that this man could help me, were I not stopped by a strange feeling. This man already belongs to someone else. And I would be better off not touching him. I know I should be curious, but the pain is making me dizzy. The second man is not white. He is not unlike some of the coolies who help dig the train tracks, with the same golden skin and slanted eyes, and yet to compare them is to compare a Pomeranian with a wolf. His arms bulge with muscles and his expression is fierce indeed. I can tell from his posture that he is a fencer, or a pugilist of sorts. He moves with the grace of a predator, and once again a strange feeling washes over me. I know with certainty that this man is dangerous beyond his appearance. He has a cold aura to him, and he cannot help me. The third man can. I feel joy and warmth fill my chest. Yes. This man is a captive like me, an adolescent with a lost look. He wears the clothes of a smith, or perhaps a cooper, and a thin chain hangs from his neck. He can make the pain stop, I just know it in my heart. And so, I move. And I stop. I look in confusion at my stretched arms, but of course, silly me. I am still in chains. Heavy locks of a silvery metal join my wrists to the wall in two taut lines. I am trapped. Wow. A feisty one, he. Come on, give her the boy. The Asian man frowns. Our eyes meet and there is a hint of sympathy in his rugged features. He pushes the young man towards me. My left hand brushes the boy's collar. Yes. Yes, finally, I am saved. I drag my hero closer and breathe in his neck. Oh, this delicate bouquet, like an exquisite wine from a perfect year, so rich and intoxicating. I am losing my mind. My canines brush his skin, pierce the flesh. Something thick and sweet brushes my tongue. The world explodes in ecstasy. I have no words. For an eternity, nothing exists. Nothing but heavenly pleasure that rolls and roils and boils and drowns. I die and I live again, and I die once more. The wave of felicity ravages my very being and shatters my psyche. If this is half as good as lovemaking, I understand women who find themselves with child out of wedlock. This is good enough to sell one's soul. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. I wish it never stopped. Alas, at some point, it does. I do not know how long it takes, but when the tide recedes, I know peace and the certainty that all is right in the world. How peculiar. No amount of prayer has ever brought me to such heights. I am touching on the realm of the divine. I release the young man who flops on the ground. He can no longer help me, and worse, he smells terrible. The creepy man chuckles and drags the adolescent's chain to pull him out of my reach, as if I were an animal. How rude. I frown in disapproval. What, my voice croaks, what is the meaning of this? How I wish I could convey my outrage at being held like this. Not even a bucket of water, or a chamber pot. Am I to live like a beast? I do not want to think about it. I do not want to think about a great many things. The smaller, white man jumps in surprise, and even the Asian guardian lifts an eyebrow. What is wrong with them? Did they expect me to cower, to beg? Well, milady. Forgive this humble Baudouin, he. Did not expect you to be so. I huff with impatience and address his companion. How about you, warrior, care to explain why I am being held so? While Baudouin is flustered, this one seems barely amused. It is for your own safety. My safety? I will be secure when I am unbound and at home, you rogue. What will it take for you to release me? Baudouin interrupts me, apparently miffed at being ignored. Don't you worry your cute little head, lady, you'll be released soon enough. I want to go on, I want to extract information from the reluctant duo, but I feel so tired, so very exhausted. Torpor invades my limbs and makes everything so heavy. My eyelids slide down with the weight of an executioner's axe. It is summer at the plantation. Sugar canes raise from the red earth, lush and green, as far as my eyes can see. The relentless sun beats down on my shoulders with a weight that is almost physical. It would be unbearable but for a light breeze and the smell of the river. A massive blond man kneels in front of me. His knife slices into the flesh of the sugar cane until only a dripping sliver remains. His face is rugged and red and there are tangles in his blond beard, but I do not care. His shining blue eyes, which I inherited, look at me with all the warmth in the world. Try this, mon ange. I don't wanna. It's dirty. Try it to make Papa happy. Allez. D'accord. I take it with a tiny hand and bring it through my lips. It is strangely fibrous and at the same time, sweet and juicy. See. Your papa knows best. That's why you should have listened, mon ange. I told you to always wear your hat outside because it is so hot when the sun is out. But did you listen? Oh no, you didn't. And now, you burn. Flames erupt from the flesh of my hand, I scream, and I try to stop them, but my other arm catches fire and it spreads all over me. It hurts so much. Blackened meat cracks to reveal tarnished bones. My hair combusts. Nothing stops the raging inferno. I beg the darkness to take me in eventually, it does. Like a patient in the claws of high fever, my grasp on reality is tenuous and uncertain. No matter how hard I try to focus, I am only afforded bits of lucidity. I remember a nightmare. I remember yesterday. I remember my name. What was it again? Ariane. Yes, my name is Ariane, although I must be honest and state that it is merely a prenomen. Using my voice helped. I shall endeavor to do so again. My name is Ariane. I am 19. I am of age to be married. I have suitors. I think. I come from. Two city names come to mind, one is Baton Rouge, and it gives a homey feeling. The other is New Orleans and it feels more exciting but also tainted. I cannot finish the sentence. I feel myself drifting into apathy and I cannot let that happen, so I force myself to press on. I what? I have a family. Yes, I know this is right. I try to recall the man from my dream, his smile, and happy looks, but his image blurs and another one replaces him. The second man is terrifying. I remember a cruel smile and doll-like eyes that mirror a soul as black as the night. My musings stop when the same craving comes over me. My throat is parched. It is only natural as people need to drink quite a bit of water every day. I remember stories of sailors going mad when deprived of it, their sanity robbed as they suffer surrounded by a liquid they cannot ingest. I am sure someone will come. If they wanted me dead, it would have already happened. Time passes with agonizing slowness. My thirst grows so much that I start moaning. My teeth bite painfully into increasingly dry lips. The only saving grace is that after 2 days I haven't had to go to the. Well, this is embarrassing and queer. How come I have had no need to visit the what? A distant clang interrupts my thoughts, whatever they were. I have already forgotten. 3 sets of footsteps again. I wonder how I can tell with such accuracy but, well, it does not truly matter. They soon stop and yesterday's Asian man gives me a passing glance before opening the door. He steps in and stands aside with the dignity of a British royal guard. The second visitor is a woman out of a fairy tale. Truly, if anyone had described her to me, I would have called them a liar, and yet here she stands. Tall and lithe, her slender body is clad in a blue gown that would be the envy of King William's court. It suits her form perfectly and manages to be enticing without being vulgar, which, given her silhouette, is quite an achievement. Her skin is as white as alabaster and her face is the very image of grace and majesty. Black curls fall with restraint from an elaborate hairdo and encase 2 striking green eyes, bright as emeralds. Why, if my mouth were not so dry, I would be gawping like some country bumpkin right about now. The same cold aura that encases the Asian man also comes from her, and yet I hesitate to compare them as she seems in a class of her own. If the man's is a drum, the woman's is an orchestra. The pressure it gives off terrifies me to my core, and I do not think that demanding anything of her would be a good idea. I turn to the last to enter, a man, and I am immediately in love. He is tall and incredibly handsome, like a legendary king of old. Brown curls and brown hair adorn a skin lightly kissed by the sun. His build is powerful, but it is not the solid weight of the farmer. It is the deadly grace of the duelist. I feel like I am kneeling before Achilles, or Romulus, such is the presence of this man. I just know he is the one for me. His aura is less cold and somehow familiar, so powerful and yet restrained. I bask in his presence as a strange warmth grows in my belly. Oh, the shame! Am I to be swayed so easily by somebody I just met? I must not. And yet I know that if this man touches me, I will be undone. I forget my thirst, I forget my discomfort. If he but takes me in his arms, I can die with no regrets. His spawn could communicate, Ogotai, and yet. I blink and realize that the noble lady is talking to the Asian man, Ogotai apparently. What is most curious is that they do not speak English. This language of theirs is mostly sing-song vowels and soft consonants with the occasional guttural sound. I am sure I have never heard anything quite like it, and yet I can understand it. I assure you that she spoke, Lady Moore. I must have daydreamed again. This lack of attention is so taxing, and now my love must think me daft. I must give my best impression so that he becomes mine forever. I turn to him and use a lull in the conversation, or should I say the harsh reprimand, to address him. Greetings. All eyes fall on me. No, that is not quite right. If I speak English now, they will not think of me as worldly. Greetings, lady, and gentlemen. My name is Ariane. May I ask yours? There, concise and polite. My voice cracked mid-sentence. I am filthy and dressed in rags that an orphanage would not take, but my manners remain impeccable. The woman scowls and displays such intense disgust, one would think I am drenched in manure. Without a word, she turns around and leaves the room while covering her nose with a perfumed handkerchief. I would blush in shame and anger if it were not for the man. He kneels in front of me and I lose myself in the intensity of his liquid eyes. He is smiling, he must be. He is proud of me, I think. No, he is smug. No, he is proud of me. He loves me and only wants the best. I love him. I do not. He hurt me. I love him, and he will be mine forever. The comfortable blanket settles on my mind until only adoration remains. I wait with bated breath for a sentence, a word, anything until I can't anymore. I move. Once more, the chains block me, my face only a few fingers away from the golden skin of his neck. I strain and stretch and the metal moans, but, of course, I am too weak to break free. I am only human after all. I cannot bend metal. Can I? The man captures my attention and the thirst fades away for a while. The fragrance of his perfume makes me dizzy and at the same time, safe. I am where I belong. By his side. Yes. No. Yes. He places a single finger under my chin to raise my head until our eyes are level. The touch of his skin sends tiny shivers down my back. You will address us as master. Yes, master. You will speak only when spoken to. I nod in silence. Of course, I will do as he asks. You will obey the woman known as Jimena in all things. You will behave properly. Do so, and in 3 days you may draw our essence, and live. I nod frantically. I want to say that I will be good, but I hesitate to talk. The man is done and stands back up before turning to Ogotai. Oh, How I loved it when he was so close. It was everything I expected. It is everything I could dream for. Why is my fledgling still in a drone cell, Warden? Ogotai's bow is almost servile, which should be odd on such a man, and yet how can I blame him? Who could stand before this man and call themselves his equal? Surely, even Alexander and Scipio Africanus would find themselves wanting. The man exits the cell without a look back. Why did he leave me so? I love him so much, surely, he must see it plainly. I am the one for him. Or am I simply not good enough? Is a landed lady from Louisiana perhaps too rustic for his tastes? Perhaps I should gut that green-eyed painted harlot and strangle her with her own entrails. Wait. What was I thinking again? I can hear a keening whine and soon realize it is coming from my throat. Ugh. I need to get a hold of myself. What is wrong with me? A strange Asian man approaches me with a silver key. Ah yes, Ogotai. He was here earlier. He is to take me out of the cell and do what? Ah yes, I finally remember. I am to obey that wonderful man. My love. No, abomination. Love. I remember his orders. I am to remain silent unless spoken to. I am to obey Jimena in all things. I am to behave properly. I will do so, since he asked this of me, and he is so irresistible. I just hope there will be something to drink. I am dying of thirst. Ah! I cry. The manacles drop on the ground with a surprisingly loud clang and take with them a layer of skin. I look at my now free wrists. The horror. I am flayed. The flesh is raw and thick with black blood. Convinced I am about to retch, I move forward, and yet, nothing happens. I do not feel nauseous at the sight of those unsightly wounds. They are most certainly infected and will quite likely scar. Oh, the humanity! Shall I have to bear the stigma of my captivity for the rest of my life? Come out, slowly. I take a staggering step forward. I feel weak and lightheaded. I pray they have water somewhere. I seethe. The Asian man stares at me with a mixture of disgust and caution, and I cannot help but feel offended. Of course, I would not look proper dressed in rags and filthy like a coal merchant. The audacity of my captors is simply incredible. I finally leave my cell to the side of a short corridor of the same stone. A single torch provides enough illumination to see everything clearly, which surprises me a bit. The passage is dotted with what I believe to be murder holes. How very quaint. I must have collapsed and been magically transported to some Scotsman's domain. Ogotai locks the door behind me and I move forward, quite eager to be away from this dreary place. As I am about to reach the second door, the naked blade of a saber taps my shoulder. Hold. Move to the side. I turn around with outrage, although I remain silent. How dare he draw a blade on me? The master said I was to obey Jimena and he is not her. He has no right to give me orders. I will teach him the meaning of pain and... A hand grabs my raggedy shirt and propels me into the wall. He threw me like a doll. My back hits the rock and explodes in blinding pain. My head follows suit and my teeth rattle from the impact. Agony radiates in every bone, only exacerbating the discomfort I am already in. Ah! His hand drills my chest in the wall. My bones creak and groan under his abuse. I frantically scratch his arms so that he lets me go, but I stop when I feel a metallic cold against my neck. Ack! I will have no attitude from you, fledgling. There are red spots on his sleeve. It seems that, in my panic, I scratched him bloody. My nails are dark as black pearls, and quite sharp to boot. When did that happen? The blade of his weapon leaves my neck and its tip buries under my chin until I start yelling. Oh God, what have I done to deserve such treatment? Why must they be so cruel? It hurts. Do I make myself Clear. Yes. I whimper. How I hate to debase myself, but what can one do against such wanton brutality? Slowly, the man lets me go, although his blade remains drawn. I stay still and massage my poor chest. Terror starts creeping into my mind and awakens primal instincts. I want to run, but I cannot. The door is locked. I do not even know where to go. Ogotai patiently works his set of keys and I finally walk out to another stone tunnel. This one, however, is different. It appears that my jail is but one of many. Several blocks made with thick walls cover most of the area, lit by the occasional torch. Each cell has 4 walls and a passage that would allow the wardens to circle it completely. The murder holes I noticed let visitors look inside the corridor and, I assume, shoot through them as well. I do not know what manner of beast is normally held here, but I would complain about being treated that way, were it in my power to do so. The Asian man guides me through the labyrinth of passages to a massive door made of the same silvery metal as my shackles. He pushes it open with little effort. How strong can this man be? I walk up a set of stairs to several landings with more doors, but Ogotai does not let me stop. Eventually, we cross one last metal gate and finally emerge into a proper building. And what a building it is! I want to take a deep breath and celebrate being out of this accursed hole in the ground, yet I find myself at a loss. Who in their right mind would spend the fortune required for something like this? A hallway spreads to my right and left to an intersection and a dead end, respectively. Closed doors alternate with subdued alcoves supported by Doric columns. The ground is made of marble and the walls of pink granite. Tapestries and paintings hang everywhere, leaving an impression of subdued elegance. Never in 1,000 years would I suspect that such a place exists in the Americas. I believe I would need to cross the Atlantic, to Buckingham or Versailles, to find a match for this gaudy display. And the owners of this place have me at their mercy. I shiver once more. I thought I had seen wealth, how naive was. These people are no rakes and outlaws out for a quick ransom and a ride west. Why, were I to escape and come across a lawman, who would he believe? A filthy waif or the masters of this place? My testimony would be the ramblings of a madwoman. What have I gotten myself into? The excitement offered me a moment of clarity, as if external stimulus could lift the veil upon my mind, but soon enough, I find it hard to focus again. Why did I want to escape? I want to see that man again, it is my heart's fondest desire. Ogotai leads me up another set of stairs and down another corridor. We come across a man in a suit that would leave him drenched in sweat if he were to step outside, a pair of women in maid outfits who exude a pleasant smell, and a slip of a girl in a white dress. Every time we pass someone, Ogotai holds my neck and forces my head down so that I cannot meet their eyes, not that I need much encouragement. My embarrassment is reason enough. Finally, the warden leaves those endless alleys and forces me into a bedroom. Before I can even start to panic, he bids me to get cleaned and slams the door shut. Once again, I take stock. The room itself is rather small, which is only sensible as there are so many of them. It is also lavishly decorated in shades of red and gold. Whoever designed the Baroque hallways clearly extended his influence on my new lodgings. The bed has 4 posters and takes the entire middle of the room with a writing desk and a chair lining the side wall. The living space is partitioned by white panels and I find a copper tub on the other side, as well as amenities and another surprise. This place has hot running water. I prepare a bath and rid myself of that vile potato bag I was wearing to slide in the bath with a sigh of pleasure. I do not know if I should attribute how I feel to my previous ordeals or the state of my body, but the very act of washing myself has never been so pleasant. Water caresses my skin with its silky touch as the heat of the liquid seeps into me, to my delight. I could almost forget how thirsty I am. Oh, how silly, there is now water to be found. What was I waiting for? I bring the warm liquid from the tap to my lips and take in a hasty gulp and I know without a doubt that, unfortunately, it will not do. How strange. Is it the symptom of some disorder? Well, I will think upon it later. When did my skin turn so white? Summer reached Louisiana a few weeks ago and I remember a light, but distinct tan, and yet now I look as pale as a Canuck. My nails are also black and quite sharp, which I cannot explain. One more mystery to add upon the pile. Or perhaps I should realize what I have become, why I do not feel hunger. Wait, there are more urgent matters to attend. I must be presentable. If that warden comes in while I am still undressed, I shall surely die of embarrassment. There is only so much humiliation a proper lady can tolerate in a single day. I scrub myself vigorously and enjoy every moment of it. After drying myself, I find undergarments and a simple linen dress on the desk, which I promptly don. They do not fit me exactly and are a bit tight around the waist, and yet I find I care little. It feels so nice to be decent again, and the sensation of soft fabric on my skin is simply divine. I luxuriate in it until I am disturbed by an insistent knock. I open the door to see two men outside. Ogotai stares me down without emotion, the other man is younger and dressed as a servant. My thirst surges at the scent of him. Such an intoxicating perfume. Before I can lean forward, Ogotai's hand grabs my neck once more. Ah! Must this man irritate me so? I want to claw him apart like the cur he is. Fledgling. I force myself to swallow. I do not want a repeat of the cell scene. Those ruffians made it clear they would resort to violence given the opportunity. Except that handsome gentleman, of course. You will cease when ordered. The servant looks at me with undisguised fear. His chocolate eyes are fixed on my smile as he starts blabbering in some unknown language I care not about. His attempt at retreating is stopped by the warden's steel grip on his neck and only serves to whet my maddening thirst. It bites into my chest and drills into my mind, demanding satisfaction. Nothing matters but that merciless craving. How peculiar, the sight of a terrified man makes me giddy. And even more thirsty. This abduction has made me a monster. What? No, this ordeal made me a little bit hysterical. Yes. Just a little tense. Nothing to it. I chuckle as I grab the man firmly between my arms, and then as he vainly tries to push me away. I am still laughing when his eyes meet mine and grow unfocused. I sigh as I take in the musk of his terror, with just a touch of desire. Scrumptious. I smile as my fangs puncture the skin of his neck and I can finally, slake this godforsaken thirst. Rapture, again. I am transported, I am ravished, I am undone. If there is one way to transcend time and space, this is it. No dervish and no prophet, no shaman and no mage would come close to this divine experience. Not with all the incense and prayers of the world. I love it, love it, love it. A piercing pain brings me back into the real world. The warden's clawed fingers dig into the muscles of my neck, forcing my jaw open inch by inch. The young servant is dragged away, still mesmerized by God knows what. No. Fledgling. I swallow as the pain turns my vision white. I stop moving. This is just too much. You will lick the wound closed. Do it now. With the tip of my tongue, I manage to clean the precious nectar from the young man's skin even as the trickle stops. I waste not a drop. Eventually, Ogotai pulls him away further and he collapses against the wall in a daze. The expression on his face is content, for some unknown reason. I, however, am not. I need more. Much more. I cry. Ogotai's hand does not relent. His other arm, now free, forces my own in a lock behind my back. I arch myself to prevent the agony from becoming too much. I barely struggle against his hold. My frustration is no match for the constant pain and the prospect of dislocation. The horrible thirst finally abates. It retreats into the recess of my mind like a wary tiger, pacified but not gone. I am myself again. Wait, what just occurred? I cannot recall. Something to do with nourishment. Ogotai pushes me away and I fall on the bed. With a yelp and scramble, I am upright again. I am not so innocent as to not understand the implication of being in a bedroom with a man, and the warden makes me wary. Fortunately, my apprehension was unfounded this time. Ogotai bends to the servant to, I assume, check on his well-being. Apparently satisfied, he stands back up and bids me follow him. We leave the room, and I do my best to keep up with the tall stranger. Torpor once more makes my limbs heavy and my mind weary, yet I refuse to yield. We descend back to what I assume is the ground floor, and shortly reach a thick set of gates made out in essence of wood I do not recognize. Ogotai opens one with ease and shoves me in. The room I find myself in is, without a doubt, a training room. It is an extremely wide rectangle surrounded by an unadorned wall of gray stone. Racks of weapons line my left, targets my right, and the far wall is adorned with benches. I am surprised to see that the ground is stone covered by a layer of sand, reminding me of this illustration of the Colosseum I once saw in a book. Why, if a lion and a gladiator were to strut into the sound of a brass horn, I wouldn't even bat an eye. The only person present besides us is a woman with black curls tied in a bun. I cannot decide whether she shocks me or impresses me more. Her face is handsome, rather than beautiful due to an unfortunately squarish jaw, and yet she exudes an aura of gentle grace that is only enhanced by a scandalously fitting leather armor. Her appearance makes me once again question my sanity. I know that Napoleon's cuirassiers would ride into battle with a steel breastplate, but she looks more like a poacher than a soldier, and besides, the gentler sex should not dress so, it is just not proper. She ignores us as we approach until there can be no doubt that we come to address her. With a frown, she sheaths a blade she had been cleaning and turns to us. Her cold aura is as strong as Ogotai's, yet more refined, and I believe she's one of them. I believe it is the source of her self-confidence. Is she an Amazon, to stand here before that man without fear? I surmise that some horrible accident befell me, and I am now in the thrall of some potent concoction that causes me to hallucinate. Squire. Courtier, she replies with a sneer. There is a flash of anger on Ogotai's twisted face, quickly hidden. You are to induct this fledgling while her master attends to the important matter of the conclave. What kind of master would bring a fledgling here? Is she so flawed that she cannot be left unattended? You may relay your concerns to Lord Nirari. I am sure he will be delighted to hear your objections, Squire. The order is passed. I bid you farewell. And with this, Ogotai turns around and leaves us both stranded. I harbor some hope that this person would take pity in my plight, but those expectations are too soon dashed. The disgust on her face reminds me of Lady Moore's, only hers is laced with fury. I instinctively take a step back. A sense of danger dissipates my lethargy, and I realize that the warden set the stage masterfully so that there is no chance that I would find a friend here. I still do not understand what is happening. My mind is barely working. I am a woman playing an intricate card game without having been taught its rules, and I am even forbidden from asking for help. The woman seems to resolve herself to the situation and gestures me to join her next to a rack. I gaze at rows upon rows of medieval weapons, including some that must have come from barbarian kingdoms. Never have I laid my eyes on so many bladed, pointy and blunt instruments, coming in all shapes and sizes. One is just a chain, with a blade at the end, and I simply cannot fathom how that could be a sensible weapon. We both stop and she looks at me expectantly. I have no idea what to do. Does she expect me to pick a weapon myself? Well. I feel panic rising in my chest. Eager not to displease the harridan, I desperately look for something to defend myself, and I find it. I grab it and hold it protectively before me. That is a shield. I nod in approval. Obviously, It is. Are you provoking me, Fledging? Can you even talk? Yes, sorry, yes I can talk, and no I am not trying to provoke you. And what, pray tell, can you wield? I do not remember much, but I do know for sure that my father. Yes, my father, whose very face I cannot recall, would have never allowed me to take up fencing. Wielding a blade is so unladylike. Louisiana is already the dumping ground for France's debtors, whores, and scoundrels. There is no need for us landowners to act as savages as well. With that said, I did hunt for fur and meat, and there are enough escaped slaves to make leaving the plantation without weapon a foolish endeavor. I am a good shot with a flintlock axe. The woman's face turns into a mask of rage. She grabs me by the collar and in a seamless gesture, throws me across the room. My mind blanks. The world turns and twists before my eyes. I land, painfully, on my shoulder, and still I slide on the ground. Eventually, I stop against a machine. A second later, I hear the crash of my shield against a distant wall. Pain steals my breath away. I cannot think. It hurts. AAA. I do not know how much time I spend here, sobbing hunched on myself. Everything hurts, I am so tired, and I am still thirsty. Why? Why? Something cold pokes my ribs painfully. I open an eye to see that evil hag looking down. She uses a dull training sword as a poker. Oh, why must she be so cruel? Well, fledgling, let me see you fire that rifle of yours. What are you waiting for? And she stabs me. The tip of the sword pierces into my chest, not enough to kill me but enough to hurt. This new agony only adds to the old one and I go over the edge. I cannot do this anymore. Their cruel games, their pointless aggression, their cold demeanor. I did not ask to be here, ridiculed and humiliated at every turn. Abused. Tortured. And for what? What sinister game are they all playing, that they do not deem me even worthy of knowing the rules? I just want it to be over, I just want to die. Papa, please come save me, I can't take this anymore. And so, I bawl like a baby. Sobs rack my body and tears stream down my face. I wait for the armored hellion to continue her abuse, crying all the while, and yet it does not come. A pair of hands picks me up gently and sets me against the stupid mannequin. I keep my eyes closed in terror. A finger brushes my chin and holds my face up. After a few seconds, I dare open my eyes. The woman's face is frighteningly close to mine. She stares at my cheeks with wonder. Fledgling, I have a request. Huh? Can I please lick your tears? Is this woman entirely insane? This request is completely senseless. And yet, there is suddenly a longing on her face so powerful and so pure that my breath catches in my chest. Please, I beg you. My instincts tell me that she speaks the truth, as unlikely as it seems. It is all so very surreal that I find myself speechless. Is this the same person who tossed me across the room like a rag doll? I must decide, and against my better judgment, I agree. I close my eyes as she slowly leans forward. A cold slip moves across my skin and I force myself not to yelp. This new sensation is so strange, and yet so intimate that I dare not move. The cold tongue traces the other side of my face. Immediately, I hear a gasp and a sob. I open my eyes once more to witness a spectacle that defies common sense. The woman, whose posture had been so flawless before is now sobbing before me. A pink tinge colors her and as I watch she slowly collapses forward. A protective impulse guides my left hand to the back of her head. I pat it in a soothing gesture. Her black curls are the softest thing I have ever touched. She tenses, at first, but soon she leans into my gesture and for a moment, we just lie here. My pain fades away quickly. Was I wounded? No, probably not. I let my arm fall. This feels so delightful. I believe I may just fall asleep right now. I blink. The Amazon is looking at me with her usual frigid mask. Have I dreamt the whole encounter? Surely not. Why, her skin is still rosy. Fledgling. I gulp in fear. Do you know who I am? I shake my head, too scared to cause another bout of mindless rage. I am Jimena, squire of Clan Cotties and quartermaster for this underkeep. Can you understand anything I said? You are Jimena. She sighs and pinches the bridge of her nose. How old are you, exactly? I am 19. She frowns. I had not heard about Lord Nirari siring a fledgling, especially not one that could talk. What has he taught you then? Who? Lord Nirari, your master. I do not know that man. What do you mean? You are his, I saw your fangs. I silently gape at the woman. Fangs. Master. I am dealing with a raving lunatic. Unless no. Jimena looks at me in utter disbelief. Did you happen to meet a tall man with brown eyes and brown hair recently? Dark, imposing, and incredibly handsome, I reply with a dreamy voice. Yes, and he did tell me to call him master. Is his name Nirari? Yes, and when, exactly, did you see him first? Why, this very morning, in my cell. Jimena appears increasingly agitated, and I still cannot say whether I am mad, or she is. At the very least I learnt the name of my master. Nirari. Such an exotic name. Perhaps one day it can be mine as well. Fledgling. I need you to tell me the truth. Oh, I will, the master told me to obey you in all things. I see. Well, please do tell, is your earliest memory of that very same cell? Yes. Oh my gee, I cough, my throat suddenly obstructed. Jimena winces in sympathy. Yes. I woke up there yesterday. Or at least I think it was yesterday. It is hard to tell the passing of the time without sun or the clock. Yesterday. Yesterday. Yes. And you feel as if your mind fails you, as if your memories were hidden behind a veil. Yes. Finally, someone who understands my plight. Oh, I could cry in relief. Instead of answers though, Jimena just stands and starts pacing. Is it some sort of affliction? Yes. Yes, it is. You will also notice the paleness, the sharp nails. And the thirst. Does it get better? Jimena stops pacing and stares into the distance. No, it does not. What is your name, do you remember? Yes. Ariane. Well met, Ariane. Has Lord Nirari mentioned a ceremony? He said that if I do well, I may draw his essence in 3 days and live. Jimena mutters to herself, and I unfortunately manage to hear what she says. The woman can swear like a sailor. Well, young Ariane, you find yourself in a delicate situation. However, you gave me something quite rare, and something that can only be gifted, not taken. Powerful emotions are such a precious thing. For that, I am grateful and shall endeavor to assist you. She helps me up. You are afflicted, yes, and I am sorry to say that there is no cure. What? I have never heard of such a disease. And is that why I am your captive? Because of this condition? Indeed. You may consider the veil over your mind as a sort of anesthetic that will shield it during the transition. But I don't want to dash. Shoo, she says, 'tis a terrible thing, I know, yet you are still Ariane. Always remember, that you are still your own. Why yes, I am Ariane. I am my own. I stagger forward. Ah, you must be exhausted. Rest on my shoulder, that I may guide you to a room. My best friend locks arms with me as we walk the streets of New Orleans. Already the sun creeps past the horizon and the dying light paints the cobblestone red. How daring we are, two young women, out with no chaperones. It is so good that you came, amiga, for alone I would never have dared. Think nothing of it, Constanza. I have a good reason to attend this ball as well. It is said that Lady Lemoyne opened a distillery in Haiti and has an eye for business. It is truly fortuitous that she is there tonight, and I would be unwise to miss such an occasion. Blonde locks brush my shoulder and I find myself staring in a pair of laughing chestnut eyes. Ah, my poor Ariane, is it always business with you? You should keep an eye open for a husband instead. Then he can open that distillery you crave, while we spend our days in merriment. P.S.S.H. Licentious woman, you shall not tempt me so. And besides, men cannot be trusted. Even Papa said so. Ah, amiga, your Papa is not here tonight, and truly I understand now, that I have to find you suitors of a more mature kind. Whatever do you mean? Ha ha ha, fret not, amiga, and look. Here is a new contender. I follow my best friend's direction to the entrance of the manse, only to recoil in terror. In front of the double door stands a monster out of the grisliest tale. It stands taller than any man. Its skin is white as the moon and it is completely hairless. Eyes the color of the abyss drill into my soul. I want to run, I try to run, but I am paralyzed. My best friend holds my arm in a death grip. A deep gash mars her pretty face and her eyes take on a mad glint. No, do not leave, he is the one just for you. A perfect match, for one who tries to reach above her station. I cannot move, I cannot even blink. I am forced to watch as the monster steps closer. It grabs my head and exposes my throat. The last thing I see are 8 merciless fangs. I wake up in a bedroom that is not my own. Memories slowly come back to me and I find myself in a turmoil. I have some hope now that I found an ally in Jimena, and yet I have little doubt that she speaks the truth. I am indeed afflicted by some unknown condition. The realization almost crushes my spirit and for a while, I sit under the velvet canopy, too stunned to move. It does not last though, for Jimena bids me join her and I must obey. I stand and make myself ready. The ill-fitting dress I wore yesterday is still clinging to my body. A few drops of blood have stained the front and back, yet I do not recall being wounded. Curious. This specific guest room is similarly equipped as the previous one, so I quickly take another bath after making sure the door is locked. It takes all my willpower not to luxuriate in the sensual feeling of warm water on my skin, despite how thirsty I am. After drying myself, I find that someone left a strange-looking gray ensemble by the entrance. I put it on. To my surprise, it is extremely comfortable, with the notable exception of the area around my posterior, which is too tight. Nevertheless, it does not limit my range of movement in any way. What a great find! Oh, if only I could wear this in polite society, but it has trousers, and this simply will not do. Difficulty strikes when I try to sort the bird's nest that my hair has become. There is not a mirror in sight. How do they expect a lady to show her best without a mirror to attend to herself, I wonder? Does Lady Moore owe? She probably has servants of some sort. Fortunately, my hair easily parts under my talons' fingers, and I believe I am at least somewhat presentable. They do not expect me to appear in polite society in any case. With everything done, I leave. Fortunately, it does not take me long to find the training room. I take the stairs down and wander a bit until I find the double doors. During this, I only come across one maid who avoids my eyes as she rushes by. She has an enticing scent, but I do not let it distract me. I am, after all, expected. I only hope that Jimena has something to drink, this thirst is killing me. I find her at a table, cleaning an elaborate fencing foil. Next to her is a short and stocky woman in a peasant dress. She has short black hair and stares at me with a frown and worried black eyes. As I come closer, I realize she smells divine. Why, I just cannot stop myself. Jimena halts me with a hand on my shoulder. Oh, sorry, where are my manners? Good morning, Jimena, and you as well, madam. It is morning, isn't it? Jimena returns my greeting with a nod and a smile. Not quite. This is Ainsa, she is a retainer for the Cadiz clan. Oh, greetings, Ainsa. The woman does not answer. Instead, she nervously swallows, and I find myself fascinated by the movement of her neck. Such a pretty neck, so very fetching. Ariane. I need your attention. Look at me. I turn to her and realize she is much closer than I am comfortable with. She takes my hands in hers. Her skin is soft and cool. Do you want to get closer to Ainsa? Yes. Are you feeling thirsty? Yes, quite so. It is almost unbearable. Close your eyes. Good. Now, I want you to think about a place where you are safe. The safest place you know. But I do not remember my past. Your mind does not, but your heart can. Do you remember what I told you yesterday? I am mine. I will always be mine. Good. Let your heart speak, Ariane. You are safe. You can see around you. What do you see? I don't know. I am so very thirsty. I just need a few drops from. No. Stop. Good. It will work better because you are thirsty. Now, try again. At first, I find the entire exercise silly. Why, it feels like one of these hogwash meditation exercises those charlatans claim can cure blindness. Jimena, however, does not relent. She guides me with a soothing voice. When the thirst becomes too much, she grabs my neck in a firm hold and it helps me remain in control. Eventually, I feel it. On the edge of the sugar cane fields stands a log cabin. It is barely large enough for a single bed, a chest and a small fire pit. It was never meant to be lived in. It is merely a shelter, unadorned and unpolished. The only thing that matters is that it is safe. I drag myself up on the straw mattress. It smells like soap and sunshine and I know I can wait here for him to return. A cool wind rustles the trees outside and carries the smell of rain on fresh soil. Now that the weather is better, he will come back shortly and hopefully bring me something to drink. In the meanwhile, I will just hug Mr. Scruffy Bear. Mr. Scruffy Bear is such a gentleman. Good. Now, does it not smell so nice? Yes. Good, now lick it. I lick something exquisite. It must be the world's very best bonbon. Someone moans in pleasure, and I know I should be shocked but cannot make myself care. Good, it will turn the pain to pleasure, and now, just follow your instincts. I bit down delicately. Something soft and warm parts under my teeth like the sweetest of fruits, and once again the delicious nectar comes to sate the thirst. Rapture. It is so good, so very good. And yet, it feels duller, somehow. It does not compare to before. There is a partition between the feeling and me. I am enjoying myself, but part of me also sits in the bed of my cabin with Mr. Scruffy Bear. Slow down and listen. I can hear mostly two things. The first is a woman moaning most shamefully. I am not too naive not to understand that she. I cannot even make myself finish the thought. The second is a heartbeat, and it has been beating increasingly faster. The heartbeat is too fast. When it is so, you must stop. Stop now. I do so immediately. The thirst has abated enough that the urge is no longer so pressing. I also remember my master's instructions. I must obey Jimena in all things. Excellent. Now lick the wound clean. I do so. I am overcome by a feeling of strong intimacy, and were it not for my strange state, I believe I would be blushing. A moment later, I open my eyes. Jimena is holding Ainsa in a princess carry. I dare not mention how inappropriate this all is, not to mention Ainsa's rosy cheeks. Why, if someone were to come right now, I would surely die of embarrassment. Ariane. Yes. HRM. Do you know what just happened? You told me to find a safe place, which I did, and then. I frown in confusion. What happened then? I cannot seem to recall. I do not remember. Is it this accursed affliction? Yes. Do not worry, the veil in your mind will be lifted when you next meet your master, or so he said. Oh, this cannot come soon enough, I reply in a dreamy voice. Before I can embarrass myself further, Jimena turns around with a sad smile. You should not be too hasty. Not all knowledge is good to take. Ah, I am not good at this. Stay here while I bring Ainsa to safety. As you wait, I want you to remember that safe place you found. When you suffer from the thirst, or when you quench it, you may find it again. This is important, Ariane. If you must remember but one thing, remember this. I understand. Good. Jimena leaves and I am left alone. I can already feel that call of torpor even though I must have awakened not an hour ago. To distract myself, I inspect the training dummies. I am simply astonished when I realize that some of those are automatons. How wealthy must those lords and ladies be, that they can afford such intricate machinery for such a trivial task? I can only assume that they are from Europe, for duels are still a way to resolve a dispute among nobles. My musings are interrupted by the sound of the door opening and closing behind me. I turn from my inspection to greet a returning Jimena and instead recoil in surprise. There are now two people in the room, only a few steps from me, and I have never seen them in my life. How can they already be so close? It is impossible. Unless I blink. What was I thinking about? It matters not. There are people in front of me and I haven't greeted them yet. I curtsy, even though I do not wear a dress. Master told me to stop running to behave, and I shall do so. And I wait. The woman on the left is wearing a richly embroidered cream gown with green eyes and shockingly red hair. She is extremely beautiful, and both her aura and her posture remind me of Lady Moore. A younger Lady Moore at least. Perhaps a relative. The black-haired man on the right is dressed in an assorted cream jacket that went out of fashion a century ago, and yet I would never call him on it. With his chiseled jaw and handsome face, he would be at home as a Shakespearean actor in the fanciest theatres of London. His own aura is blander, yet similar to that of his companion. While she is sneering, he appears to be a victim of the most dire form of boredom. His blue eyes dismiss me almost immediately. I have not grown to the age of 19 without learning how to spot trouble. Whatever they want, I must delay it until Jimena returns without drawing their ire. And so, I remain silent. Time is on my side, and the newcomers know it too. The woman's sneer turns into a scowl as the first round goes to me. We came to see the latest Spawn. Tell me, Spawn, do you even speak? Jimena, I beseech you, wherever you are, come back with all haste. Are you referring to me? Obviously. Who else do you see in this pathetic hovel? I must thread the needle between aggression and passivity. Too meek, and she will escalate. Too witty, and she will retaliate. I let silence draw as long as I dare before continuing. In case you were still waiting for an answer, yes, I can speak. Is that so surprising? It is. Lord Nirari seldom chooses them sharp, you see, he prefers to go for other attributes. What is it with everyone expecting me to be a simpleton? Although this time he may have made an exception. She says, eyeing me critically. Does she expect me to lose my composure so easily? Are you perhaps related to Lady Moore? It appears that I hit the mark. Her face freezes and her eyes turn calculating. The man's head turns to the door and he voices a warning. Melusine. She continues, unfazed. And why do you believe that? You have all the bark but none of the class. I could not resist, ha 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 ha. Oops. You dare. She was just waiting for an excuse. She moves, and I can see it. Something sings in my veins like the leftover of a good dream, and so, I move as well. I go to grab her backhand and manage to catch her fist. This was a terrible idea. She is not quite fast, but the strength behind her strike is unthinkable. I am launched through the air as if I weighed nothing. By chance, I manage to roll on the ground without hurting myself too much. Her power is truly inhuman. If her backhand had landed, I would have had to collect my molars from the farthest door. How can a slip of a girl like her? Wait, what was I thinking? I do not know. I know however that I am in danger. I grunt and pull myself on my knees. I somehow ended up between two of those automatons. Time is short, Melusine. Says the man, as impassive as ever. Melusine strides towards me, wearing on her face the promise of pain. Their urgency must come from Jimena's imminent return, therefore, I only need to stall for a few moments. I am, however, spent. This affliction has sapped my strength. My limbs are heavier than they were a minute ago. I will not be able to fight her. I will not be able to escape. In desperation, I do something that I can only attribute to my addled mind. I catch the side of the nearest automaton and pull its lever. At best, I was expecting the dummy to rotate and buy me a few moments. Instead, the unthinkable happens. A complex imprint flashes in the automaton's chest and basks it in crimson. It shudders and steps down from its wooden support, and then it stretches 4 arms ending in wicked blades. Its eyeless head finds the closest moving target, Melusine. I am too stunned to move. Sorcery. Sorcery of the vilest sort. I barely notice the man pulling his astonished companion behind himself, when a voice sweeps the room in one mighty roar. Hold! Jimena walks in with the confidence of a lioness. Her eyes find the dummy, which moved a bit forward for some reason and then settles on Melusine with an amused sneer. It is good to see Clan Lancaster attempt to remedy their abysmal lack of martial prowess. With that said, you could just have asked me instead of scurrying around the proving grounds like rats. Watch your mouth, squire. I jump as both doors shut without any visible intervention. You should take your own advice. A heavy silence falls in the room as Jimena closes the distance with the two outsiders. Before she can reach them, the man takes a step forward and offers a formal bow. Squire Jimena, it appears that we have come here by mistake. Perhaps you would consent to open the door. Jimena stops and considers for a while. You will leave the fledgling alone while she is in my care. Very well. Is that all? After all of this, they are free to leave. We should cut their legs at the knees and make them crawl on their stumps. No, it is a perfectly reasonable outcome for this farce, and I am delighted to see the back of them. They leave without a word. I suppose I should start to train you to defend yourself. The woman sighs after the gates close. With all due respect, Jimena, I think not. I respectfully disagree. I need to understand who those people are, and the reason for their animosity. Why, when we first met, were you not goaded into attacking me by Ogotai? Jimena flinches. You are correct, young Ariane. Ah, but I am bad at this. Where should I even begin? You could start by telling me why I am a fledgling and you a squire, and why does Lady Moore despise me so? Jimena stops to consider, then quickly nods in assent. Very well, but please bear in mind that I will remain intentionally vague, lest your mind obfuscate some of the information. I assumed that I would be unable to learn more about the affliction until I meet my master once more. Indeed. Now, to begin. Newly turned afflicted, start off as drones. They are mindless and pitiful creatures who only react to obey their master's voices. Most remain in that sorry state for a few weeks at most. Others never move past it. I shiver in disgust, what a dreadful fate. When drones recover enough of a sense of self, they receive, their master assists them, and they become fledgling, as you are. A fledgling is essentially a young afflicted. Jimena, my dear, are you not mistaken? I have not yet received that help you mentioned. Am I still a drone? Yes, and no. Someone who has reconstituted a sense of self is always treated as a fledgling. Receiving help is but a formality. What if? No, Ariane, do not think of it. Your master will assist you when the time has come. He told me to behave and I did not roll over and bend to Lancaster curs. Worry not, Ariane. Thank you, Jimena. She graces me with one of her rare smiles. Ah, what a refreshing young lady, but let us continue. Once a fledgling is deemed an adult, after a few after some time. Did Jimena almost say decades? Surely my ears deceive me, I would not want to wait until my hair grows gray to emancipate. Not that it matters, as soon as I may, I shall go home. They become courtiers. This title is earned by the grace of their clan and is universally recognized by the others. Those two from before, Melusine and Lambert, are courtiers. Those who, master their affliction become masters. Masters do not need the recognition of their clans. Their rank is obvious. Masters who control a territory are often called lords. Above them are the clan sovereigns and their councils, and we will address this later. What about squires? Ah yes. Knights are the military arms of the clans. They are trained and deployed by a separate order and enjoy some measure of autonomy. Squires are knights in training, as well as disgraced knights. Jimena looks at me expectantly. I can tell this is a test of my personality. I have known the woman for only 2 days, and I can already tell that she is honest and straightforward, perhaps a bit too straightforward. When Ogotai, and later Melusine addressed you as squire, they meant it as a slight, did they not? Correct. They riled me up on purpose and I fell for it. She steps forward and I recoil. My reaction hurts her, I can tell. Jimena, I am sorry, I do not apologize, Ariane. I raised my hand against you yesterday. I only have myself to blame for your apprehension. I shall now explain to you why your situation is so precarious. Ah, where to begin? We are currently in Louisiana. I have not been moved to a forsaken corner of the earth, at least. This region has changed hands quite a few times. As a result, a smattering of people now live here, the original Chitimacha, Choctaw and Coushatta, the French and Canadian French, the Spaniards, Africans, and now the Anglos. I almost scoff at the thought. Why would diseased people be territorial, and why include savages and slaves in the decision process? Unthinkable. The clans who call this place theirs have gathered to negotiate spheres of influence. There were to be 4, the Coddies, the Lancaster, the Roland and the Econ clans of Spanish, English, French and Guinean Gulf origin, respectively. You include slaves in your discussions? I scoff. Something flashes in Jimena's expression. Ah yes, I forgot to mention. We afflicted, do not care for each other's skin color. You would be well to remember it. Well. How very progressive of you. You will understand why, in due time. For now, I expect you to treat others with respect, no matter their race and gender. It is for your own good. Understood, Jimena? I will do as she asks, I am to obey her in all things. The issue comes from your master. Lord Nirari is your sponsor, so to speak. You are affiliated with him no matter what. Jimena leads me to a comfortable bench and holds my hands. I find the gesture quite touching coming from the Amazon woman. Lord Nirari is not unlike the sovereign of a clan. He is a bit of a rogue, and his arrival was unexpected. Nevertheless, he was welcomed with utmost courtesy. You see, insulting him is considered an exotic form of suicide. My face must reflect my astonishment, for Jimena decides to explain a bit more. Your master's way is that of the ancients. He deems the rules of hospitality sacred, yet every slight is met with ruthless vengeance. He is universally feared and reviled, and his reputation reflects on you. What? I interrupt, scandalized. He is a beast, the very soul of kindness. A gentleman of refinement. How dare they slander him so? Jimena does not interrupt my ranting, instead she looks at me with pity. How I wish I could convince her. Nevertheless, his reputation is well established, and he is known for, not caring about the fate of his protégés. Jimena, I am so confused. Does he have a clan, or not? Do I? He is just known as the Devourer, and to my knowledge only one of his spawns, besides you, still lives. You are the third member of his line. I what? I am sorry, Ariane, your legacy will always be known. Lord Nirari's afflicted are quite distinctive. Her attention flickers to my mouth. I do not understand. This makes no sense at all. You will, in time. I am sorry. I am too astonished to reply. None of this makes sense. A mysterious disease. Clans and politics. A clan of 3. Jimena, please, tell me the truth. Am I hysterical? Is this some asylum where the mad are left to live their insanity? Ariane, believe me, you are not insane. I am not insane. This is a difficult time for you, yet if you are tenacious, and if you display a better political acumen than my own, I am confident that you will thrive. Thrive? I do not want to thrive. I want to go home. I just want to go home. I try to hold it, but despite my best efforts I start crying. Ariane. Yes. May I please drink your tears? Nothing that happens in this madhouse can surprise me anymore. I nod in assent, then yelp as Jimena pulls me in her embrace. Before I can react, she licks my cheeks. How daring. We stay there. I would be otherwise offended at her familiarity, and yet I realize how much I owe her. If what she says is true, and I have no reasons to doubt her words, then my master is a bit of a pariah. Our acquaintance taints her reputation. Her honesty and loyalty are costing her, and yet she defended me. I can only be thankful that I met her. For an afflicted, you cry a lot. Oh, shush. I feel so comfortable in her arms. I was already tired before my confrontation with that horrible harridan, and now my entire body feels so heavy. I believe I shall take a quick nap. Just a few minutes. The last harmonies of the hymn wash over the pews and the many attendants. The Mass is in full swing now, and I can feel that I am a part of something greater than myself as people from all origins unite with one purpose. I take a deep breath. The church smells like dust and incense, and a unique mix of perfume and sweat that humanity brought here. The morning sun kisses the little skin I show. I am, after all, in my Sunday best. Vanity might be a sin, but how I do love that blue dress I wear. It suits me so much. Papa stands next to me, and I can tell he is looking at the others, acting as my guard. The young men who stare will be noted, and he will tell me of it. Those who stare too much will be reprimanded later. A smiling old man in the black cassock of the Catholic priest steps in front of us. His genuine smile makes my heart lighter. Father Armand's homilies are always so wise and pertinent, much better than that priest from Mobile. What a bore that man was, always screaming about eternal damnation and witches. Welcome, everyone, welcome to Massachusetts. I am so pleased to see all of you today. With Easter coming soon, I was about to make my sermon about the dangers of gluttony and overindulgence. Alas, I received yesterday a meat pie from Mrs. Cantrell, and you all know how I abhor hypocrisy. I chuckle, like most people present. So, I will talk instead about something far less pleasant, I'm afraid. It has come to my attention that there have been some scuffles with Mr. Sutton's parish members over the question of religion. The mood turns grim. Why, I can barely blame you for being confused. I remember myself a loyal subject of King Louis the XVTH going out to hunt a pesky snapdragon, and when I came back, I was Spanish. Once more, we chuckle, the old priest playing us like a fiddle. I do not mind terribly, he is a good man. I go make some tea, and I am French again, muchas gracias. The Spanish members of the congregation laugh harder, possibly due to Father Armand's atrocious pronunciation. And now we have been sold to the United States of America by Napoleon himself. Why, it is no wonder we are all at a loss. I now own more flags than shirts and have considered turning ones into the others. Hee hee. Yes. And so it is that our parish now harbors quite a few Protestants. There are more than a few grumbles at the mention of those heretics. And yet I ask you this. When Jesus debated with the Pharisees or the Sadducees, did he punch them in the face? Did he throw manure at their women? The grumble dies on the spot and quite a few faces redden in shame. No, he did not, for he knew that all should have a chance to hear the word of God. We must all remember that we are Christians not because of who we oppose, but because of who we love. I will have no more of this. Instead, you will love thy neighbor as is ordered in the Holy Scriptures, for the Protestants are not your enemies, merely people who walk a different path. Nay, the true enemies are demon-worshipping sluts like Ariane here. What? You moaned and squirmed under the beast like a wanton whore. He took you on the first night and you enjoyed every second of it. Neither Sodom nor Gomorrah ever witnessed such a shameful display of lust. What? No. You're mistaken. Papa. Tell them. I should have drowned you the day you were born. Look at what you've become. You cannot even stand here. Smoke erupts from my now blood-stained gown and fire soon follows. I try to run but I am blinded. I fall against a wooden bench and the contact sears my hand. It hurts so much. I roll on the ground, screaming in agony. Angry whispers surround me as the congregation watches me die. Here, Caton, this should help. Father Armand throws water on me but it does not stop the fire. I vanish in a flash of blue light and an ear-piercing shriek. I open my eyes to green sheets and a bedpost made out of a reddish wood I have never seen before. Another day, another room, and I remember that this is no home. I am, at best, an unwilling guest in a gilded cage. I still savor the moment. I only have a few minutes of lucidity, of peace, before it comes. The thirst. I do not know much about this affliction. I feel that every time I am told more, the ideas flee through my mind like through a sieve. Jimena told me that all will be made clear tomorrow when I meet him again, and I do hope it will be so. It cannot be healthy to remain in such a fugue state for an extended period. I go through my new morning ritual while the craving grows in me. It is a strange thing. The thirst is not limited to the throat and mouth. It digs in my chest, my belly, and my mind with its needy claws. Every line of thought is derailed, and my feet carry me to the door whenever my attention fails. No, this cannot last. I find another gray set, the same as yesterday. It is again quite tight around the hips, and I suspect I am wearing one of Jimena's spare sets. As I finish, someone knocks on my door. As I move to unlock it, I pause. What if it is not my improvised tutor, but the Lancaster shrew and her stooge? They promise to leave me be. They also did not strike me as people of their words, and they are not the only ones who would do me harm. It is at this moment that I notice that there is a tiny glass window, no bigger than a thumbnail at the door. I look through it and lo and behold, I can see who is outside with all clarity. It must be some sort of magnifying glass, or a short telescope, mayhap. I thought running water in every room was a luxury, until now. Why, if their lavatories were encrusted with diamonds I would not be surprised. Speaking of lavatories, why have I not HM? What was I thinking about? Another knock on the door, more insistent this time, wakes me up from my reverie. I unlock it and greet Jimena. Forgive me, dear friend, for my mind is as muddled as ever, and I do pray you brought something to drink. I am parched. And a good day to you too, Ariane, she replies with a smile. This is Ricardo, another retainer for Clan Cotties. She says, and only now do I notice another man. He is dressed well but soberly. He is tall, with brown eyes and curly brown hair and looks at me not unkindly. I greet him politely, which he returns. Buenas tardes, S.E., Orita. Jimena then bids me let them both in, which is I suppose acceptable since Jimena could be considered a chaperone. After that comes some more meditation and when we leave, Ricardo stays behind. I feel refreshed and the thirst releases its hold on me. Lord Siren requested your presence. He is the local head of Clan Cotties and we should attend him now. What? Jimena, surely you jest. This attire. I dare not criticize too much since she gave it to me so graciously, however, trousers are indecent, particularly those that are, well, so very tight around the hips. Jimena notices my discomfort and smiles knowingly while addressing my concerns. Fret not, young one. Gray is the color of the Night Order and by wearing it you are distancing yourself from the court. You are claiming neutrality and impartiality, and this can only help you. I ponder her words in silence. You surprise me, Jimena, this is a well-thought statement. Well, I am not so oblivious to the vicissitudes of afflicted politics. I usually ignore them. Recent events have forced me to reassess my priorities. I suspect that it has to do with her fall from grace and tactfully refrain from asking. In short order, we reach the edge of the many apartments to another set of doors. It appears that each level contains a square of individual living quarters surrounded on each side by waiting rooms where visitors may gather. How many floors does this building have? And why are there no windows? I ask. You will. Yes, I will understand in time. One more night and all will be made clear. She opens the door to a large boudoir. Comfortable seats are gathered in small groups and other afflicted in fineries mingle there. We ignore them and reach yet another door. Jimena knocks and, without waiting for an answer, gets in. We enter an antechamber of modest size. The furniture and decorations are of the same Baroque style as everything else I have seen since leaving the dungeon. This place has been designed for people to stay, not to live. An oaken chest in a corner convinces me that the sole occupant of this place shares my status as a guest, although he might be doing it willingly. A man sits at a work desk facing the entrance. He calmly puts down his pen and rises to welcome us. He is, without a doubt, on the same level as Lady Moore. His aura pressures my mind and while it lacks sophistication, there is a solidity to it that reflects his physique. The Cotties clan lord has cornflower blue eyes, like my own, and black curls that reach his muscular shoulders. His facial features are virile and elegant and complemented by a roguish beard and mustache. Why, he must have stepped out of some pirate tale, ready to plunder and ravish. I am pleased to see, however, that his gaze is calculating as opposed to overly hostile. Once he reaches us, I curtsy, partly to hide my surprise. This man is muscular beyond compare. I believe Ogotai has nothing on him, and that he could bend metal with his bare hands. Are all Cotties clan members so dedicated to physical prowess? Rise. I do so and stay silent as the man takes my measure. Greetings, Ariane. I am Lord Siren of Clan Cotties and I welcome you to my humble abode. The pleasure is mine, Lord Siren. The man smiles wryly and turns to Jimena. It is as you said, Squire. In his mouth, the rank of Squire becomes praise for past achievements rather than an insult, and I can tell that Jimena is grateful. Tell me, Ariane, has my quartermaster explained the situation to you? She told me of the council and my master's unexpected arrival. I see. Has she explained your role in this? My role? Lord Siren just chuckles. As expected of our Jimena. I wager her first answer was to put a blade in your hand. Jimena hisses playfully and crosses her arm under his teasing rebuke. Lord Nirari always holds his word and respects a few rules with unerring consistency, yet he is otherwise quite infamous. You make it sound like he has committed atrocities, yet I do believe I would have heard of them in the news, as he looks barely a day above 40. Lord Siren's eyes flicker to Jimena before he continues. You would be surprised, young Ariane. He is much older than he looks, and he has traveled extensively over the mill over the years. I think you have realized that our world is apart from the mundane one. Afflicted are kept secret, and in our society, he has earned quite the reputation, which makes his visit even more unusual. This land is remote. We who reside here have not come, we have been sent. For someone of his stature to be here and to make his presence known, he must be after something. This conclave started 3 days ago and is set to conclude tomorrow. Yes, I am aware of Lord Nirari's promise. I quite assure you, that no nascent fledgling is ever left without receiving their master's blessing. You can look forward to the ceremony without trepidation. I was not worried, but I certainly am now. What happens if I do not? Lord Siren seems temporarily at a loss, so Jimena takes my hand and continues in a reassuring voice. Eventually the stress on the fledgling's mind becomes too much and they revert to drones. Rest assured though, barring a major catastrophe, it shall certainly not occur. Yes, Ariane, all will be fine. I should not even have mentioned it. Let us focus on the main topic, if you will, and the reason for your presence here. You see, Lord Nirari requested our hospitality and we granted it. On the second night, he spent quite some time with Lady Moore, and we suspect she is the reason for his presence, or rather, her property is. Lady Moore manages the local ship trading for the Lancaster, and to our knowledge, she is the only one with the means to provide him with passage back to the Middle East, or wherever it is he wants to travel to. Can he not arm his own ship? Surely a man of his stature would not be without coin. That is not the issue. Transporting us across vast distances requires specific logistics. It is both easier and safer to reach an agreement with Lady Moore, rather than create a way by oneself. I have so many questions. I know, he says with a smile, and I am sorry. Now, as I mentioned, Lord Nirari is our guest, and as such he will not force Lady Moore into serving him, and so he needed a bargaining chip. You. Me. Yes. As the only person able to help him, Lady Moore has a monopoly and finds herself under no obligation to hasten the discussions. Quite the contrary. Lord Nirari is believed to be affluent. Very, very affluent. She could use it to leverage her position, and that is where you come in. I do not follow. What do you know about your master's other protégés? Everyone expects me to be some raving lunatic with barely the ability to speak. Both Cotties chuckle before my outraged face. Ah, but it is good to be with polite company, although I would not call Lord Siren a friend. Quite so. The Devourer has, had quite a few protégés in the past. He cares little for them and has used them as tools more often than not. They were not me. As soon as we get acquainted, my master will have no choice but to see that I am the one who should run away for him. When needed, he reared them into psychopathic maniacs who he then let loose. They ravaged entire parishes before they could be stopped. What? No, they must be wrong. This is nonsense. An individual alone would never be able to. I would have heard about. He would never. What was I thinking about? I blink. Jimena signals to Lord Siren and he graces me with an apologetic smile. Forgive me, I forgot myself. Suffice to say that you are a sword of Damocles that hangs over Lady Moore's head, and leave it at that. I don't see how. Jimena clasps my hand between hers. I forgot how cool and soft they could be. Trust me on this, he is saying the truth. I am a sword of Damocles hanging over Lady Moore's head. I see. Good. Lord Nirari uses your existence as an incentive to push the negotiation forward. He is under no obligation to limit the damages you could inflict according to his own twisted sense of honor. Lord Siren sits back and spreads his hands. The implications for you are twofold. The first is that you will be under intense scrutiny while here, and most opinions will be, hostile. The second one is, that should everything proceed as we think it will, you will be left at Clan Lancaster's mercy. What? But, this is horrible. They hate me. Can you? I am ashamed to beg you thus, but can you do something? Alas, no. We have no justifiable way to claim you. The best outcome for you is to serve under them. Best outcome? Surely you jest, or you underestimate their scorn. They attacked me ruthlessly and with little provocation. I would be a fool to put myself at their mercy. I answer, dejected. It was a test of your character. Melusine and Lambert are Lady Moore's only competent subordinates. They were sent there to assess you while someone else was delaying Jimena. Thankfully, they were quite bad, and she saw through their awkward attempt. The short time they had to see you should work in your favor. Melusine will want to keep you alive out of curiosity if nothing else. They leave me a few seconds to gather my thoughts. So, my master will not take me with him. There is not a chance, although I know you will try anyway. If you wish to live, you will plan accordingly, and I know the way to do so. Tell me, Ariane, what is it that you want? I want this to never have happened, but I know it is wishful thinking. Jimena told me to believe her, and that this disease has no cure. Then, what I desire most is, I want to go home to my friends and family. I want to walk along the fields of sugar cane in the morning light with whatever pet I have that I cannot remember. I want to open a distillery and bring wealth to my family. I want to bag an egret in one shot and eat its meat grilled over charcoal. I just want this insanity to stop. I am too close to crying again, and I refuse to do so in front of the local head of the Cotties clan. My passionate declamation only stuns my hosts into silence. I hope they do not find me whiny and pathetic, but I comfort myself in the certitude that I have cause to be a little dramatic. Some unspoken message passes between them until Lord Siren finally returns his focus on our conversation. If going home is your fondest wish, we will do our best to grant you the opportunity to do so. This will be a difficult task, however, and you will need to make it worth our while. How mercenary of you! I reply, scandalized. I have obligations towards my own clan, and one of them is to protect its members and make sure its resources are well used. You ask me to risk people and funds to rescue a stranger. I thought I was asking a personal request. It will take more than the two of us, Ariane. I am sorry. Very well, then what would you ask of me? While you are with them, look for information on their business activities. Inventories, deeds and titles, we can use the information. You expect me to spy for you? Yes. I assure you that those mongrels do not deserve your loyalty. It is not that. Spying is just so distasteful. Precisely. Trust me, after tomorrow, you will change your perspective on the matter. Very well, I shall do what I can even though I fear you may be overestimating me. After a few pleasantries, Jimena and I leave the Cadi's enclave and she drags me to her proving grounds to teach me the basics of fencing, including posture and how to hold a blade. I successfully learn a few things before sleep takes me. Aunt Catherine. Ma petite chérie, I am so glad to see you. I rush down the stairs and embrace her. She returns the hug, then steps back and inspects me with a serious face and smiling eyes. MHH, but how you have grown. Any bigger and we shall have to trim you a bit. Not funny. I reply laughing. I am 13, and when I turn 20 all of you will have to look up to me. I shall overcome even Papa. Perish the thought. She answers. Your appetite would bankrupt us all. We chuckle for a while until her expression grows serious. I feel extremely awkward as I am now convinced of the reason for her presence, even more so because she left my cousins at home. We need to have a talk, goddaughter, one that requires privacy. Should we retire to your room? Very well. I would like to pout and protest, but I'm a woman now and need to show patience and restraint. I lead her up the stairs to my room and claim the bed while she takes a chair. How I wish Diana could see you now, she would be so proud. I am instantly saddened. I am sorry ma chérie, I did not mean to make you sad. It is fine, we both miss her. Yes, and this makes it even worse. How I regret it, what I have to do. Dear aunt, you exaggerate. I know discussing lady issues are a tad delicate. Not that, this. Her hands grip my throat and she pushes me into the mattress. I cannot breathe. I struggle and fight but she is so much bigger and stronger. My sharp nails dig into her arms to no avail. Red tears of regret mar her cheeks and her mouth distends to show serrated fangs. Oh my God. I panic even more but already darkness creeps upon my sight. I am sorry chérie, this is the only way. He will claim your soul otherwise. I am so sorry, ma chérie. So sorry. I grow more frantic in my struggle. Her fingers dig into my skin, draw blood until the pressure is too much. The pain becomes intolerable and with one grisly crack, my cervical bones shatter. Something is wrong. What who? I cannot think properly, everything seems distended and cloudy. I feel the urge to just stay there, and wait, but I know something is wrong. It smells like fire. The thought of fire horrifies me, a visceral reaction of such intensity that it forces me up. I don't know what to do. No, focus, this has happened before. My name is Eerie and I am my own. Slowly, painfully, my psyche stitches itself back together, fraying at the edge. Holding my mind together is like holding sand, and I know I need something. I desperately need it. The thirst hits me like a rock. I bend forward and grip my stomach. Oh God, it hurts, I need it. I need it. I need it. I need it. I need to find my master. He promised. Then we will leave this forsaken place together. Yes. But first I need to find him now. I pull myself together and just walk to the door, carefully opening it. The smells hit me first. Wood smoke. Gunpowder. Blood. Excrements. The corridor is deserted but for two unmoving forms. The first one is a servant in a maid outfit. Her hands clasp a deep wound in her chest. They are so coated in red that she looks like she is wearing scarlet gloves. She is also quite dead. Tears trail down her face from half-lidded eyes. The other one is a man in a black leather overcoat. His clothes are military without being a uniform I recognize. I see no wound on him but he is lying in a pool of his own blood, also dead. I feel nothing. A distant part of me screams that this is not right, that I have seen bodies before but never like this. I care not. The woman took a bullet wound. Whoever attacked this place, they care not for unarmed women. They did not even have the grace to give her mercy, instead choosing to let her suffer atrociously before she drew her last breath. I will not have the same fate. I have not come this far to fall to some brutish lout. I need to flee the building. The smell of fire worries me. I dare not find Jimena, for if I know the woman, she will be in the heart of the battle if she still lives. Fortunately, I know where to go. We are in one of the wings of the fortress and the exit should be on the ground level of the wing, quite close to the entrance to the dungeon. I am quite certain that there are hidden ways given the builder's strange tastes, but I am not inclined to look for them. I would rather risk a blockade. The thirst is killing me. I go down one floor with all the patience I can manage and stop when something peculiar hits me. This is the floor where I first slept and the door to my first room has been broken open. Only one other room had its entrance forced. Are they hunting the residents? If so, how did they know where to find me? I reach the ground level and slow down. If the mysterious assailants are still around, this is where I will find them. As I finish this thought, a few footsteps echo from a nearby hallway and I hear Ogotai's distinctive voice. Incompetent, I would never have agreed to this. How many men do you need to? Relieved, I step out of an alcove as Ogotai comes into view, taking care to hide my pistol at my back in case he proves himself to be too nervous. A gravelly voice retorts, but I barely pay attention until his two companions step into view. Both of them look like hard men. The older one has deep claw scars on one side of his face, barely missing his black eyes. The second one is much younger, with red hair and a sharp look. Both of them wear the black overcoat of the intruders, enough weapons to start a small conflict and unexplainably, silver crosses. We all freeze at the sight of each other. I understand immediately. Traitor. I turn to run and Ogotai moves. I will never make it in time. And that is fine. A part of me that I do not recognize rises to the surface of my being. There is barely enough of me left to direct it and yet it is enough. I move as well. Just as the edge of his blade kisses my neck I lift the firearm and pull the trigger. Point blank range. A child could not miss. Ogotai is so surprised at the sight of the muzzle, that I see his mouth form an instant before it is blown away. I am not done. The two men instantly pulled guns and are now firing. I grab Ogotai's body and use it as a shield. Two dull impacts make his chest shiver as I rush forward. I am barely thinking, something is taking over and I let it. I will live. I will live. And so they must die. Ogotai's body flies through the air to the older man who tries to dodge to the side. A pointless endeavor. The warrior's body is too massive and the corridor too tight. With a grunt, he falls. So thirsty. With a high-pitched scream, I rush at the redhead until a flash of silver makes me dodge. Something flies over my shoulder. The corridor's tightness now plays against me and I move to avoid another one. My foe anticipates it and a third something stabs into my arm with a flash of blinding pain. A knife. I hiss and barely manage to endure it. He is close, so close. Something glows white and I am propelled backward by an implacable force. Swatted like an insect I bounce on the floor. No. No, this cannot be. I am too thirsty. I need it. I need it. I manage to stagger back up in time to find the young man taking out another pistol from a recess in his vest and aim it at me. As he fires it, I throw my own discharged firearm. It impacts his shoulder as he shoots and a massive hole opens in the wall next to me. I need to get closer, but I can't. What to do? Oh. Of course. I rush forward once more as the man takes out a smaller pistol from yet another pocket. How many does he even have? This time he waits calmly for me to approach. When I am but a few feet away I pull the knife from my arm and throw it at him. I care not about the pain. I only care about the deliverance he will offer me. My awkward throw sends the flat of the blade to impact his nose and it breaks his concentration. As he recoils from the pain, I manage to move around him. I grab his neck with 2 fingers and push him down. At the same time, I bring one of his arms back and bite. Ah, yes. Or no. This isn't close to what I had before. It simply will not do. I cannot take it in. It barely dulls the edge. I need more. I need him. I need it from him. I what? Nothing makes sense anymore. Somebody cackles like a madwoman. Me. I stand up and grab a dagger. Ignoring everything else, I follow. My nose to a draft of fresh air I feel. The air is tainted by smoke, but this is the way out. I know it. I will live. In a daze, I leave the 3 bodies behind and walk past corpses of servants and soldiers as well as one inexplicable pile of ash to the scene from a battlefield. A broken-down barricade stands not 10 meters from a half-collapsed wall. I count more than a dozen bodies of both sides strewn about, including a few women in quite the assortment of weapons. It looks like the invaders stormed it and left no one alive. As I pass the barricade, the reason for their anger lies before me. The entrance to this wing of the fortress has been blown open, yet the wall partly collapsed, creating a choke point and corpses of the invaders litter the ground. Even in my dazed state, I am stunned by the extent of the destruction I am witnessing. What manner of fanatics would throw their lives away like this? What would justify such determination, or such hatred? I cross the door and find trails of drying blood. Recent. Someone dragged their wounded out. So thirsty. I stumble forward and find myself in a massive hall the size of a cathedral. The walls are natural. Is this some sort of cave? Another set of doors faces me. The cave goes up to my left, but the draft comes from my right. I walk in that direction. This place is empty but for the dead. A handful of oil lamps provides enough illumination to see clearly. This hall is barren and its sole purpose seems to be to instill a sense of majesty or dread. I cannot tell. I quickly reach a set of massive stairs when 2 forms step down from it. I did not hear them at all. The first one is a bearded blond man with pale gray eyes in a blue overcoat who frowns at my sight. The second one elicits a gasp of surprise from me. I have seen many slaves and freemen, hailing from Haiti or the continent. They always have something about them while in the presence of many white folks. Sometimes it is fear, sometimes respect, and quite often, it is defiance, but what they all have in common is that they never let their guard down. Not this man. Dressed in a beige leather ensemble and quite visibly armed, he has a sarcastic smirk on his face that shows that he fears no one. Bar master and my father, he is also the tallest man I have ever seen. The 2 newcomers are followed by brown-haired twin men and a black woman, respectively. All of them exude the same cold aura I now attribute to afflicted, with the first 2 men being on par with Lady Moore and Lord Siren. I need to go up. I need to break through. No. They are stronger, I cannot leave. The blond man steps towards me and before I can react, he moves faster than I can think and my vision turns white. Ah! One moment I am looking forward, the next I am held above ground by 5 sharp things digging in my stomach. The pain is unbearable and the tenuous hold I had on my mind finally breaks. It is too much. I stay there, unmoving. I don't have to struggle. I don't have to breathe. Moving just means more pain. Better to stay and wait. Focus on fighting the fog. The last dregs of consciousness I can hold to. If I let go, it is over. I know it in my soul. As I drift in and out I can hear fragments of conversation. Clear as day. Someone betrayed us and we know it cannot be a cattle. Raving imbecile. She has been one of us for 4 days while this raid is weeks in the making. Cannot trust his spawn. I knew it was a mistake to bring her back up or we will never know. She fed and is still degenerating, she's almost too far gone. Somehow, we are going up. We reach another grand entrance, this one made of wood. We walk through the burnt husk of a mansion. We walk through a garden. We are outside. Finally, something shakes me from my torpor and I let out a weak moan. It's him. My salvation. His mere presence stitches more of me back together. Enough to follow what happens. The blond man throws me on the ground. I curl up around my belly. I fight off the pain. I can do nothing else. I will live. I just need a few more minutes, and Master will save me. Just a little bit longer. Back so soon. Don't play coy, Lord Nirari, I am wise to your schemes. I really doubt that little Gaspard, you do not even have enough fingers to count them all. You. So you admit that this is your doing? What is this attack on us? You come here and not a week goes by and we are assaulted? You expect me to believe this is a coincidence? Or it could be because of the long-awaited conclave. I would explain Occam's razor and confirmation bias to you, Gaspard, but I lack the patience and crayons to do so. Oh. Enough, Lord Gaspard. If we want to know more we have but to ask the lass. Lord Nirari. I admit that I am curious as well. Master grabs my neck. I do not need to see him to know it. His touch makes my body lax. Even the pain and the thirst fade. I find myself looking into his face. Ah, those handsome features. This kingly presence. His noble beard. His 8 fangs. Ariane. Oh, my name on his lips. I am undone. I find myself smiling like a witless maiden. I love him so much. Answer me. The world gradually disappears as my body relaxes completely. The world fades away and at the same time, I regain perfect clarity. Never since my awakening in this dark cell have I felt so focused. What did I ask of you when we first met? Do not speak unless spoken to, address you as master, behave, obey Jimena in all things. Have you spoken without leave? No, master. Have you addressed me as anything but master? No, master. Have you obeyed Jimena in all things? Yes, master. Have you behaved? I think so. Yes, master. We shall see. Ask your questions, Lord Econ, and I shall relay them to her. His attention goes to someone else. No. Look at me. He turns back to me. Yes. When did you wake up? I do not know, maybe 15 minutes ago. At sunset then. Do you know of the raid on our fortress? Yes. Did you help the assailants in any way, at any time? No. There is some commotion outside. After a while, he asks me more. Little Gaspard here thinks we were betrayed. What do you think, little one? I agree. Another commotion. Master looks pleasantly surprised. Oh. And why do you think so? I saw Ogotai walk with 2 of the invaders. They were talking. This time the commotion is quite loud. Tell us about it. As I relay the encounter to Master, his smile grows wider and more malevolent until he laughs. The sinister sound sets my stomach aflutter. Ah, young Ariane, you have brought me something I would not have expected to find in this forsaken corner of the world, entertainment. Jimena, did my spawn behave properly? A pause. Very well then, I declare that you upheld your end of the bargain. I am pleasantly surprised by this outcome. It is not every decade that someone manages to elate me so. As promised, you may draw my essence. May it be everything you hoped for. He slowly drags me up to the crook of his neck. I do not understand what he wants until he places my mouth against his soft skin. My mouth instinctively opens and he lets himself be touched. I feel something thick and syrupy pass through my parted lips. Time stops. Even if one day I forget my name, even if I live 1,000 years, even if I am robbed of every last shred of sanity I have, I shall never forget the moment I taste this essence. I will go on blessed by the experience and cursed by the knowledge that nothing will ever compare. Words escape me. I die of pleasure 1,000 times. The wave of agony and bliss burns through me again and again, lasting both an instant and an eternity, and I am carried on it helplessly. After a while, visions like fleeting dreams appear to me. I am in a chariot pulled by 2 horses. I let loose an arrow that flies true and buries itself in a man's throat. My first kill, one of many. A foreign princess prostrates herself before me, the blood of her brother still staining her dress. I utter a few words. With tears of humiliation rolling on her face, she unclasps the gown. It smoothly falls from her golden shoulders. I stand up. An older woman sits at the heart of an intricate garden. Her beauty and wisdom are legends. She is writing an intricate spell on a square of tanned human skin. When she hears me, she looks up and smiles. I lie on a bed stained with my sweat and blood. My hands grip the hole in my gut. The stench is nauseating. The same woman leans against me with a sad smile. She tenderly brushes my hair back. Her other hand brings a vial of black liquid to my lips and I swallow it. I pull away with a gasp before the blazing potency makes me burn from within. My fraying mind is reforged at its sharpest and coldest. The power courses through me and invades every organ. I absorb it like a woman dying of thirst. I remember. My name is Ariane Lucille Beatrice Raynaud. I have a father and an older brother. Family, friends, hopes and dreams. I came to New Orleans with my best friend for a short stay. I intended to talk to an acquaintance at a ball and met Master here. He. No. No. No 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 no. And oh. What have you done to me, you? You. The monster laughs, he is filled with mirth. No. This cannot be, it is a nightmare. No. I refuse to. No. It's. What have you done? What am I? Why? So much anger, little one, do you hate me? Do you? How can I hate him when I love him so much and I hate him so much and love him so much and. No, master. No. Then are you happy? Hayag. Tears. How very precious. No. Was it not your desire? How? How dare you? You violated me, killed me, turned me into this. His hand slides from my neck to my throat. Ugh. Tut tut, I will have no mouth from you, little one. After everything I have done for you. He smiles disarmingly. You were so precious, a little peasant girl who dared approach me, as if we were equal. You even addressed me first, introduced yourself freely. I wanted to tear you apart limb by limb for your insolence, but then you started talking. So many projects, so many dreams. This drive, this passion, I was so touched. You reminded me of someone I knew long ago. Like you, she reached above her station, however, she succeeded. Her deeds inspired a whole civilization. You were like her. You wanted it all, and you even wanted me. You asked me if I was married. Such presumption, such hubris. I had to see it through. So here you are, little one, like me, a vampire. Free of the constraints of this barely civilized corner of the world. You can live forever. Time will not wither your beauty, nor will it dull your wit. You can get it all, and you can even get me. Show me how far you can overreach, little Ariane. Show me that I did not waste my blood and my seed on yet another failure. You will not get away with this, Guh. God. Did you want to say God? There is only one God left for us. Look up. Despite my best efforts, I raise my eyes to the sky above. So beautiful. A canopy of light and darkness. A canvas where some divine artist threw lights and shades of colors in some unfathomable pattern. I never knew the heavens could be so breathtaking, and I would stare in wonder were it not for a new celestial body. Twisted clouds and roots of baleful purple enshrine an eye of black sclera and a slitted red pupil. It is absolutely massive. It dwarfs even the moon. The sky has a gigantic eye. A demonic cat eye in a purple crown. I stare, speechless. It stares back. I want to close my eyes but I cannot, for Master bid me look. Sheer terror courses through my mind. It is alive. I feel a presence. Welcome to your journey of black and red, little one, Master says, may it be everything you hoped for. The man throws me on the ground. As agreed, she is yours, he says without a care. I can barely lift my eyes to see the hem of a blue dress. This is all too much. I finally understand. I remember dying. I am now a monster. I have been a monster for 4 days. I drink blood. I am damned, an abomination. And the people in the corridor, they were priests. I killed a priest. That boy on the first night, I killed him too. And before that, my last nights as a normal person, he did things to me. This is not a nightmare, I know it with perfect clarity, just as I know that I should feel hysterical but cannot, I should wish for death but I do not. Something in me is broken. Old age may have robbed me of my mind, eventually, but what streams my consciousness, what moves my heart now is not the spirit of a person. It is much colder. Already, the tears I shed have dried on my cheeks. Panic has receded, replaced by cold certainty. I am no longer the Ariane that danced and drank fine wine on that night, the one who suffered, fought and begged for freedom then for a quick death. I am not her. Not entirely. I am a vampire, and I want to live. I may have been robbed of the future I envisioned, but I will not throw away this pathetic excuse of a life until I fulfill this promise to myself. I am Ariane. I am my own. I will live, and I will go home. They cannot take this from me. I will not let them. Never. As Jimena said, patience and determination will carry me. Jimena. She helped me. She showed compassion, kindness, honor. Are they not all monsters? I turn my head left. There she is, her armor reddened by blood but otherwise unharmed. She looks forward like a soldier at a parade. As I look, she turns to me briefly. Long enough to see the pity in her eyes. I need to think, to evaluate. I need time. Not so fast, you old monster. You think me daft. You would have me believe Moore's servant betrayed us all and you had nothing to do with it. Both of you plotted our demise. Those are preposterous accusations, Gaspard, and you should know better, Lord Siren answers. All of you are too blind to see it, but I will not be made a fool. Careful, says Master, and the clearing goes deathly still. It sounds like you insulted me twice. And what would you know of honor? You hide behind a false code and vile sorceries. Oh. You believe me weak of arm, young Gaspard? Would you wager your eternity on it? You will regret those words, you decrepit husk. I accept your challenge. No magic, only our blades and us. I turn my head in disbelief to the blonde-bearded man. Gaspard, the representative for Clan Roland. Is he serious? Can he not tell how utterly outclassed he is? Witnessed by Clan Econ, the tall black man declares in a low rumble. Witnessed by Clan Cotties, Lord Siren adds. Witnessed by Clan Lancaster. Farewell Gaspard, I cannot say that I will miss you, Lady Moore continues with a voice as cold as it is uncaring. The group moves away and I push myself up to Lady Moore's icy eyes. Well, are you going to hug the dirt like a scullery maid for much longer? I stand up before her and grind my teeth in silence. I do not know the rules that regulate vampires and therefore I do not know how freely she can kill me. I need to make her believe that keeping me alive will be more beneficial than finishing me off. You serve me now. Yes, Lady Moore. Will I have to discipline you? No, Lady Moore. Humph. At least you know your place now. Even monkeys can be taught, it seems. That trollop, I so want to wrench off her head. Ah. So this is what it is. I can feel my own mind, twisted and corrupted like the surface of a lake, and there is something else, something deeper. When I was alive, I was prone to feeling anger, but this is different. It is like a twisted thing that prowls beneath the surface, pitiless and predatory. It is the part of me that fought those priests and took Ogotai by surprise, and if I release it, it will not throw harsh words. Right now, it is of no use to me. Any resistance on my part will be met swiftly and mercilessly. Mistaking my silence for complacency, Lady Moore smirks and moves away. Follow. I do, and finally take the time to check around me. We stand in the middle of an exquisite garden. The mansion dominating it might have been a sight at some point. Now, only blackened beams and collapsed walls remain. Somebody dug a path from the outside to the massive steel door at its heart. Bodies of those battle priests litter the grass, although most seem to have died in some sort of defensive line. Collapsed tents and slain beasts form a grisly spectacle somewhere at the edge of the property. I can spot servants packing belongings in coaches in the distance, so it seems some of them survived. Vampires gather around a flat circle in silence. It seems that each lord has between 2 and 5 followers who stand behind them. I want to join Master, yet I place myself behind the Lancasters. Melusine turns in my direction and smiles cruelly. I do not react. The 2 combatants enter the arena. Lady Moore takes a white band and releases it without ceremony. I can see every detail on the Roland Lord's arrogant face, his pride, his disdain, the certainty of his victory. I shall never be so utterly brainless, and thus I promise to myself to keep the beast in check. What follows is a lesson, and this lesson is not for Gaspard. It is for the rest of us. One moment the Lord stands at the edge of the circle, the next moment he is right next to Master in a perfect lunge. His black-bladed sword kisses the edge of Master's deep blue coat without touching it. Master has one hand on Gaspard's sword arm and the second deep within his chest. Gaspard's expression turns from triumph, to surprise, to pain, to horror. A torrent of black blood rains on the ground and the Roland clan representative staggers and lurches, only kept standing by Master's steel grip. With deliberate slowness, Master ignores the man's pleading eyes and releases the blade, which falls on the ground. He then grabs his throat. What follows is a moment I shall never forget. The sound of flesh tearing and bone breaking, the suction noise as the head is pulled minutely, the vertebrae revealed to the world with agonizing slowness. It takes the man 10 seconds to die in a flash of blue fire. 10 seconds during which Master reveals his true colors. He is utterly bored. This is nothing to him, just another insect that needs its wings pulled so that the other vermin know better than to provoke him. The local Master did not even warrant the satisfaction of the kill. He was such easy a prey. Master turns to the silent assembly with one raised eyebrow. Lady Moore bows to him. Melusine will show you to your ship, my lord. I derive a small amount of satisfaction from the abject terror shown on the little harlot's face. Unfortunately, when Master turns to leave, I take a step forward despite myself. Master. I know I shouldn't, yet I must try. He ignores me, completely. He leaves without a word, without even a look. I don't understand. I have been a good girl. I did everything he asked, I did my best. So why? The other vampires are perfectly silent, so my outburst and the following shame are witnessed by all. When I think it could not possibly get worse, I feel two claws grab my neck. Lady Moore's cold breath on my ear makes me shiver. Not 10 minutes in my service and you already embarrass me in front of my peers. It looks like you need discipline after all. Undress. What? Her vicious claws draw blood and I convulse in answer. Ah! This really hurts. Do not make me repeat myself. I can only be grateful that most other vampires leave to attend to other business as I slowly take off my gown, gritting my teeth. In short order, I stand in my small clothes in the middle of the clearing, grateful that the view of my disrobed body remains hidden behind a curtain of green. This is the most indecent thing I have been forced to do. I wince as a memory worms itself to the forefront of my mind. It is, in fact, the second most indecent thing I have ever been submitted to. God, why did I have to die like this? What have I ever done to deserve such treatment? Why have you forsaken me? I do not receive an answer, not that I expect one. I do not wait long. A bearded man soon reaches us. I recognize the insane blue eyes that greeted me in my cell back on the first day. He leers at me shamelessly. I try to cover myself as best as I can. He, looks like Eerie knows how to pick M. I hiss in outrage and he recoils. Enough, Baudouin, she is more than you can tame. The man looks at me thoughtfully, then throws me another dress, a humble apparel of white linen. I would never have let one of our estate servants walk around in this rag, and yet I treasure it, for it is the only material thing I possess now. I do believe that Lady Moore did not want me naked only so that the unspoken threat of this condition deters me from opposing her will. As soon as I am covered, we leave to join the procession of coaches and carriages leaving the fortress ground. The remaining Roland clan members precede us as I recognize the twins. It appears that the death of their leader has not affected them in the slightest. I am horrified when I see where I am led. Lady Moore turns to me, expecting a reaction, yet this time I manage to remain silent. A cage. They are going to transport me in a cage like a circus animal. Oh, I so wish to make them suffer, but I need to exert patience. Baudouin has a pair of manacles hanging from his shoulder, massive objects of cruel metal, and I have no intention of letting him come anywhere near me if I can help it. Lambert silently rides a horse to my side. He pointedly ignores me and I am only too happy to return the favor. Clan Lancaster is the last to leave the fortress grounds. Only a dozen servants are left to clean up the battlefield. Our little procession is made of 6 coaches and 4 carts including my own, and we depart in silence. For the first time, I truly appreciate night in the bayou. The oppressing wet heat of summer is mercifully subdued at night, or perhaps I am no longer so afflicted by it. Sounds and smells form a vast harmony and I spend quite a bit of time looking at strange arrangements in the leaves and barks of the cypresses, and ripples on ponds of brackish waters. Every insect and every plant hold a new fascination for me as if I had never seen them before. I suspect that vampire vision is highly superior to that of humans to help us perform some foul deeds, and it brings me some consolation that my new senses can be used for more than just evil. It is also my luck that the path is quite muddy, else I would be swallowing the entire caravan's dust. We are in July and night is the only time when the weather is tolerable. So, I am a vampire. I have no idea what that means. Never have I heard of such a thing. I have difficulties admitting that monsters could live among humans, moving faster than the eye can see and digging into people's chest at will without it being common knowledge. Surely, people would ask questions upon having their blood consumed. If those battle priests know of us, why not call the colonial militia and give us the cannons? I am simply baffled. There are so many things I do not understand. Truly, I am a toddler once more. Thinking on it, can I still bear children? Would I even want to? Would they not be twisted things, just like me? I abandon this line of thought. I will not give Lambert the satisfaction of seeing me cry a second time in a single night. I would also not want to ask questions. It appears that talking without leave is not looked upon kindly. My cart is at the very tail of the procession and we advance at a snail's pace, so much that we eventually lose sight of the rest. I assumed that so many carts together in the middle of the night would attract undue attention, so I am only left with a human driver and the ever-taciturn Lambert. Fortunately, the new experience of the night entertains me until we come across a patrol of 3 armed militia. They look at me questioningly. I do not wish to resist at this point. Jimena's promise is still clear in my mind and I do not doubt that Lambert could disable them in an instant, should I try to force a rescue. I am therefore compelled to hear him explain how I am the wanton daughter of a tailor, who ran away from home after finding out I was with child, from an unknown father, no less. I apparently murdered the babe as he was born so I could continue with my depravity. The faces of the men turn from wariness, to shock and eventually, to disgust as Lambert spins his tale. He is as good an actor as I took him for, and I note to myself that I shall never trust a word he says. We leave the patrol behind us and cross a small village. The night comes alive with the smell of humanity. Under the stench of sweat and unwashed bodies, there is a perfume of vitality that makes my jaw ache. I pass my tongue over my fangs, only to find out that there are 8 of them. They have replaced all my canines, and the outermost incisive as well. Jimena mentioned that my bloodline's appearance was unmistakable. This is certainly why. Now that my memory is clearer, the other vampires all have 4. This is grave news. It means that I must absolutely keep the sight of my teeth to myself lest my lineage is immediately found. As I ruminate, we leave the village and come upon another patrol. This time, Lambert entertains them with a tale of my murder of the old man who welcomed me to his hearth, how I poisoned him and seduced his son to steal the family's fortune. Again, the looks of horror on their face are striking and I wonder why Lambert lies with such aplomb when there is no benefit to it. He is not even having fun. After a while, the land gradually changes and we find ourselves next to a colonial house of massive proportions. For a while now, I have smelled the barest hint of brine in the wind and I remember that Clan Lancaster has an interest in sea trade. I suspect that we may not be far from New Orleans. The place of my demise. Lambert opens the cage and lets me out. I follow him in silence across a grand entrance and a series of corridors. We walk past tastefully decorated rooms and a few submissive servants in blue uniform to a closed door. Lambert knocks and we go in. The room is a boudoir of good size illuminated by candles. A handful of vampires lounge lazily on comfortable couches. I am horrified, not by their number, but by their immobility. There is not a whisper of moving fabric, not a sigh. They are not even breathing. Shocked, I begin holding my breath. I am still holding it as Lambert leads me to the forefront. I am still holding it as Lady Moore stands up from a throne-like seat to address the crowd. The vampires shift their postures to show attention. I feel like I am watching a puppet show, so unnatural their movements are. I count 7 in total. Besides Lady Moore, Melusine, and Lambert, there are also a weasel-faced scoundrel, a bovine toad of a woman, a witless-looking slip of a girl with crooked teeth, and a balding brute. It finally occurs to me that Louisiana is not a land of exiles just for the humans. My esteemed clan kin, the conclave has reached a favorable conclusion and once more, Lancaster has risen to the top. The successful negotiations I conducted solidified our hold on New Orleans and its boon of treasure and cattle. Our success is assured. The grisly automatons clap politely, like the obedient curs they are. This victory did not come without its share of disappointment, however. As you know, we lost Caitlin and were betrayed by Ogotai, may his soul burn forever. The assembly does not betray any sort of reaction. I do not believe that such a sorry lot would harbor any kind of sympathy for each other. We have received a new member as payment for service rendered by Lord Eerie himself. As the foremost clan in this land, the Devourer has favored us with his business and we will reap the benefits for years to come. Not if I can help it. Please welcome Ariane to our loving family. I feel like a piece of meat dangled before a pack of bloodhounds. She is yet very young, so it will be up to Melusine to rear her into a valuable and productive member of our community, for the good of all. I notice the vilest and cruel of smiles on the red-headed harridan. Ah, truly, I will need every scrap of self-control I can salvage. And with this, I shall retire for the evening. There is much for me to do. The rest of them stand as she leaves. Melusine reaches my side and grabs my arms as if we were the best of friends before dragging me out of the room. I am surprised to see that I am quite a bit taller than her, but it matters not. She has me, and she knows it. This will be difficult. I open my eyes to total darkness. The pantry-sized room they call mine greets me in all its misery. In truth, it is a cell, for what bedroom has a lock on the outside? No nightmare tonight. A pleasant change. I hear footsteps coming. I do not even have the luxury of privacy. I have learned much in a week. Vampires die at dawn and wake up at sunset or before. During that time, we are utterly defenseless. Sunlight kills us. Silver blades cut us deep. Fire will turn us into torches faster than one can say arson. Our mind is prone to distractions unless we hunt. In return, our body is superior in all accounts and can heal even the most grievous of wounds, given enough time and nourishment. We do not have to breathe, poison cannot hurt us and we cannot drown. Only the destruction of our head and heart spells a certain end. This implies that Ogotai may have survived his wounds if one of the priests supplied him with blood. Blood. It is the red of the journey, the energy we need to consume to sustain the parity of life. That animates us. It cannot be stored. It must be consumed from the source, and without it, the predatory part of us will take over until it tastes the crimson nectar. Vampires who lose control, sometimes fail to get it back. They must be hunted down like beasts. The thirst drives us. It taints every aspect of our existence. It can never be completely overcome, and it will never be truly sated. For fledglings like me, it is a daily struggle to control it, and then another struggle not to fall into torpor after we slake it. For this, we have a few tools. Vampire saliva can make the bite extremely pleasurable, and then closes the wound so that it fades at record speed. Bitten individuals will develop an unnatural loyalty for the vampire, despite themselves. Our eyes can confuse memory, though I am sure there is more to it than I was told. I have not been allowed to leave the building so far, and every night a new human is brought to me. Using Jimena's method, I have been able to stop feeding without Melusine hurting me too much. I can tell that she is disappointed, and the death of cattle would have been a good excuse for her to belittle me. The logistics used in feeding 8 vampires must be truly staggering. That is probably how the battle priests usually find us. We have a few distinctive features, such as the claws and pallor, but our fangs are usually hidden unless the grasp of the thirst gets too strong. We are not reflected by mirrors either, which I find quite silly. All in all, it seems that whoever created us meant for us to infiltrate the human world. Hunting us must be quite difficult. When I asked about the priests, Melusine became unusually tight-lipped and I had to drop the topic. I hear soft gasps. Joan is gathering enough courage to knock on my door. She does not have the submissive behavior of servants who have bowed to vampires for a long time. There is a fire in her that they have not managed to extinguish. Melusine knows this, and that is why she is charged with being the first I see in the morning. I mean, evening. If I drink her dry, Melusine has killed 2 birds with 1 stone. She is quite petty like that. So far, I have managed to control myself, but it is becoming difficult. Melusine is stopping my feedings just a little bit early. Every night, I find my self-control eroding a bit more. There is a knock on my door. Come in. The courtesy is a joke and we both know it, yet I cling to any appearance of control and every scrap of manners to keep the thirst at bay. Mistress Melusine requests your presence, Miss Ariane. I nod, not trusting myself to speak, and she leaves promptly. The scent of vitality caresses my nostrils and the thirst punches me in the gut. I feel like someone scooped my innards with a frozen axe. Nobody has fed from Joan for a long time. So it would be fine if I had a taste. Just a taste. Melusine can punish me later. I need just a tiny, tiny mouthful. Just a few droplets. No. I must not. When I come to, my hand is on the handle of the door and Joan is standing still with her back to the wood. She is perfectly silent, her eyes closed and her face lax, but I can smell the fear in her perspiration, hear it in the beat of her heart. She is doing her best not to struggle, knowing that a mere move will set me off. So close. So very, very close. Finger by finger, I release my hold and open the door for her. Only when I turn around does she leave. That was the closest call, but I should run after her and tackle her to the ground. Then. No. I will not. I get changed, mechanically, and reach Melusine's office. She is in deep conversation with a richly dressed man with a fetching appearance. He does not know what he is in for. I can see it from his flushed face and the scent of his arousal. To be alone with a woman like Melusine is titillating him. His mind has yet to be tainted by one of us. Pray. Melusine plays us both with a lengthy introduction. His initial frustration at being interrupted turns to pure lust at the sight of two beautiful women. I can imagine the lewd pictures his twisted mind must provide. How many indignities must I be subjected to before it is over? I have only been here for a week of constant battle against myself and Melusine's petty humiliations. Finally, I am given an opportunity to embrace him under some ridiculous pretext. My hands reach around his shoulders and I nuzzle his neck. I am in the wooden cabin. One lick, one bite. Finally. I drank 2 more swallows than I was granted by enduring the pain of the hussy's claws in my neck. She drew blood. After I am done, she carries him to parts unknown while I attempt to scrub the memory of his erect manhood against my belly. How I wish padded pants were in fashion. With a knock, 2 other vampires join us and Melusine resumes her lessons. What follows is what makes my predicament border on the intolerable. I have already been robbed of my humanity, now the Lancaster princess is after my sanity as well. Her teachings are a tragedy in 2 acts and 4 participants. First, she will demonstrate her knowledge of a specific topic, like the superiority of the Lancaster philosophy, with as much arrogance and derision as she can muster. While she does so, my fellow students, the bovine Charlotte and witless Sophie, will gush at Melusine's intellect and overall superiority. Praises must be properly heaped on and the princess will select a different favorite every day, who will receive her benevolence while the 2 others accumulate scathing remarks and disparaging comments. Suffice to say, I only participate enough not to be punished. After a while, she will test our understanding with tricky questions. She has a way to slide cutting remarks and casual humiliations in every sentence that is designed to leave the rest of us ashamed. She expertly divides and conquers us, constantly pulling our group down but distributing just enough encouragement to foster a nasty form of competition. She gives her favor as easily as she takes it and does her best to keep us on our toes. I can only grit my teeth. I am less insulted by her numerous slights and more by the fact that she thinks herself smart. She can only do this because my 2 companions have the intellect of a shriveled turnip between the 2 of them. I do not know who turned those 2 brainless twits into creatures of the night. I think they should have stabbed themselves in the groin instead. And so our numbers are limited due to the difficulty involved in creating a spawn. Ariane dear, can you tell me why? Only a master can create a spawn, and it takes a century on average to become one. The process itself is also taxing and will leave the master weakened for years. I am sure that you will be a master very soon, mistress. I can already feel a presence, Charlotte gushes. That's how. Quite so. Sometimes I cannot tell if you are passing by, or if it is Lady Moore. If battle priests were to bust the door open right now and set us all ablaze, I believe I would let them, and be grateful to boot. Of course, we Lancaster are always picked from the best stock. How can she say that with a straight face? I see the malevolent glint in Melusine's eyes, and I can tell that I should have nodded along with the two stooges. Now I must endure her for a bit longer before she switches targets. Yes, and it is our duty to share the blessing of our good breeding with other bloodlines, don't you agree, Ariane? Of course, mistress, and I will forever be grateful for the privilege of your presence. I consider myself lucky to be taught by no other than you. I can feel two baleful glares directed at me as I apparently overtake the two simpletons in the pecking order. Quite so, and surely you would feel grateful to be shown such favor, yes? I nod in assent. I do not like where this is going, but I must play along. Whatever Melusine wants me to do, I will be compelled to do. My only hope is that she loses interest to pick on another. With the tragic betrayal of the ungrateful savage, we are in dire need of helping hands to manage the city. Surely you would consent to assist us, yes? I freeze. With no heartbeat and no need to breathe, we vampires can reach a state of perfect immobility, which I am displaying right now. I absolutely need to show a hint of fear, and then submission. If she guesses the truth, she might withdraw her offer just to see me suffer. I pretend to swallow nervously and flinch, before giving her a nervous smile. Of course, Mistress Melusine, I would be delighted to repay the debt of gratitude I owe you. Please, I beg you, accept this lie. I would do anything to get out of this farce of a tea party, if only for a few days. I will shovel horse dung by the cartload. I will crawl in the mud and catch frogs with my bare hands. Please, let me go. 3 sadistic smiles inform me of the success of my little facade. Then I shall begin private lessons tomorrow in order to prepare you. We would not want you to bring shame to your benefactors with your poor performance, after all. I barely managed to contain my excitement the next hour. I compel myself to look suitably worried and act more submissive than usual. Finally, I may be able to go out. Oh. I wake up to the whispers of gossip. Cattle are a strange sort. They are unusually obedient and unerringly loyal, yet their other flaws feel exacerbated. They backstab, plot and slander to earn the favor of creatures that will never see them as more than blood sources and bed warmers. They have their use, though. After a week of being harmless, they have started to treat me with indifference. They do not seek my favors due to my status as an outsider, and rumors about my bloodline, and my lack of reaction means that they have lowered their guard when around me. And so, I have picked up quite a bit of information. Most of it disgusts me. The Lancaster vampires are a petty, vicious and promiscuous lot. Each one has their flaws, their twisted desires, and vile habits. They are all detestable, each in their own special way. Melusine enjoys breaking couples. She will track them for days, seduce and have her way with the fiancé, and then arrange a public confrontation. The more violent the breakup, the better for her. Lambert is a compulsive liar who preys after young and ambitious merchants. He will deceive and scam them until they are ruined. It is only at the moment of their fall that he will display something more than his usual apathy. Charlotte is a violent bully with an inferiority complex. She enjoys breaking servants, and I am convinced she used to be one. Sophie has the wit of a boiled potato and half the charm. She does not behave too cruelly because she lacks the cunning to do so. It could be an act, of course, and I never let my guard down around her. The Weasel Man answers to Wilburn, and he is a serial rapist. Only his fear of Melusine has protected me from his attention. I surmise that he tried something on her, and she made the following lesson unforgettable. The burly, bald man is named Harold and he has a chip on his shoulder. Every perceived slight against him eventually turns into physical punishment, and no amount of pleading and promises changes his belief that everyone is insulting him behind his back. If their continued existence is not proof that God has abandoned this world, I do not know what is. My name is Ariane, I am my own. I will live, escape, then go home. I repeat this sentence every twilight, in that small moment of peace before the thirst turns me into a fiend masquerading as a person. I say it in the tongue of Akkad, the language of vampires. I was surprised to learn that the others had to study it. I have no idea how the knowledge just slithered in my mind, and I would rather not ask. Joan knocks on my door shortly after the thirst hits. This time, I do not ask her in. Instead, I quickly send her away. I don one of my 4 outfits and get out. All my clothes look shabby and out of fashion while being functional. I look like the daughter of a family that fell on hard times, all of this to feed the image of the world as it exists in Melusine's twisted psyche. They are not even comfortable, especially around my, well. They are just too tight. The rotund form of Charlotte blocks the passage. Yes. Mistress Melusine bids you join her in the training room. It is time that you made yourself useful, stray. You cannot just keep living off of our generosity. Clan Lancaster certainly does welcome lowborn in its ranks. It is such a shame some of us will never rise above their previous station, I reply. Her fat jowls quiver with fury at my rebuke. Ah, but her master must have loved Rubenesque women, and been short-sighted and deaf besides. Perhaps he lived in some remote corner of Finland and she was the only woman within a month of travel. I can think of no other explanation. Instead of leaving, her scowl turns to a smirk and I brace myself for the next inanity to be born from her addled brain. The mistress will instruct you in the way of battle. Perhaps a correction will force some manners into you. And perhaps I will need a partner to practice. I insinuate. I smile. I am thirsty and this stupid sow is in my way. Let her see the fangs. Let her remember what my vampiric siblings are famous for. She flinches and steps back when I pass her by. I may be weak, like all fledglings, but she is even weaker. She is the dreg at the bottom of the barrel. I will make every encounter a slap to her pride until she learns to leave me be. No humans. This is not very auspicious. If Melusine invited spectators, it means that she intends to humiliate me. She gives me a training sword and demonstrates proper handling and some basic moves while the 2 clueless twits fawn over her grace and elegance. Still no humans. I am so thirsty. I return my attention to the little princess. Watching her reminds me of Jimena's comment on the Lancaster clan. She mentioned their lack of prowess on the field of battle and I can tell from comparing the 2 women that it is accurate. Melusine may have had some formal training, but she is no master. Her movements are too mechanical. She lacks the deadly grace and seamless ease of the Cadiz squire. Jimena had made every demonstration natural and effortless. After a while, she orders me to copy her gestures and I do my best to learn. This is the most constructive activity I have taken part in since reaching this den of depravity. No amount of poorly veiled insults will ruin my enjoyment. The physicality of the activity even manages to distract me from the thirst. Since I am not talking, or thinking, life is simple. I lunge, I cut, I move. I let my body and the monster within guide me. It already knows how to do it. I have but to listen and follow. Well, your posture is still awkward, but I suppose I should not expect too much from the likes of you. It seems my enjoyment was too obvious. We shall now start with a light spar in today's most important lesson. Ah, it is time for the inevitable humiliation. I just hope it will be brief, and not too painful. Melusine retrieves an engraved glove of strange design. It is pretty enough to wear at a ball, I suppose, yet the amount of metal involved makes it look like some knight gauntlet. Now, attack me, she says with supreme confidence. Should I go faster? It will make me even more thirsty. In the end, my pride will not allow me to roll over and grant her an easy triumph. I move. When I reach her, she lifts her gauntlet hand and speaks calmly. Blast. I dodge left. Something smacks against my waist and leg. I am sent flying and spinning. How? I smack against the weapon rack. Steel beams punch my side and I collapse on the floor. My head is spinning, and the pain clouds my mind. AAA. It hurts. Why fight this one? Cannot consume. Too strong. Door. Out. Pray. And that is why no matter your efforts, you will never be able to surpass me, Ariane. You were taken from mundane stock. You were never a warrior. You were, at best, a glorified peasant. I was chosen from a noble mage family and spawned by Lady Lancaster herself. No amount of time and no personal efforts will ever bridge that gap. The sooner you accept this, the better. Mage? Yes, a mage. You are still an ignorant little thing, but don't worry. I will let you witness my ascension, so long as you remember your place. I need the sweet nectar now. Need it, need it, need it. The red-haired woman sees something in my face and grabs my neck. She takes me out. I do not resist, this time. She is leading me to blood. I know it. We reach a black-haired woman. Cute. Delicious smell of terror. She knows. I smile. Tears. Beautiful. Wait, no, need to remember. The log cabin. Maybe not this time. Maybe this time I can just let myself go. Joan. No, this is a trick. The red-haired woman hurt me. I sit in the log cabin. Outside, the wind rustles the sugar canes and carries the smell of wet earth. I am safe. This is a good place. My name is Ariane. Melusine is a trollop. Something is thumping. The rhythm is too fast and I pull out and lick the wound clean. Joan is unconscious and white as a sheet, but it looks like I managed to stop in time. I will not give that harlot satisfaction. If I kill cattle, it will be because I decided it. Ah, finally. Under my guidance, it appears that your self-control has improved. Even the spawn of the devourer can account for something if they are guided by a stern hand. It occurs to me that her entire misbegotten farce of a clan is so twisted that she might actually mean it. In a few decades, I shall attempt to revisit the question while skinning her alive with a rusty letter opener. And now you can finally repay us for our kindness. Ah yes, I should show my appreciation for their precious gifts. The glorified wardrobe they call a bedroom and all 4 of my outfits. I follow Melusine to the entrance. Apparently, 20 minutes of training qualify me for a soldier role. I spent that much time listening to Papa before he would even let me hold an unloaded pistol. My mind wanders. I wonder how my family is doing. They must think me dead. I remember waking up in a hospital after the first night. If they see me again, they will know. There was too much damage. I would have borne the scars my whole life. Should I even attempt it? I must. I want closure. I need to say farewell to what I used to be. Bury human Ariane's hopes and plans. Grieve. We reach the main hall and turn left to what I know is Baudouin's office. I know he is mortal, but he is not cattle. I smell Lady Moore on him. You will assist Baudouin in whatever way he sees fit. I am a busy woman and shall return to more worthwhile pursuits while you run his errands. She turns around and leaves. Curious. I knock on the door and a bored voice bids me come in. I close the door behind me and catch Baudouin staring at my backside as I turn around. I hiss softly, which is enough to remind him that I do not play. Yes. What do you want with old Baudouin? His accent is quite strange, and I cannot place it, even after hearing English spoken from Acadian and Choctaw mouths. I was sent to assist you. I do not want help from a fledgling of less than a year. This will require a delicate hand. Lady Moore herself said I could have Melusine for this task. I need to add sloth to Melusine's long list of flaws. She did mention not wanting to run your errands. Is that so? Well, you tell her to get back here, lest I tell the lady, heh? Of course, Baudouin, I shall convey your message. No, wait. He says as my hand grasps the handle. He sighs and pinches the bridge of his nose. Baudouin's office says a lot about the man himself. I am suitably impressed by the organized stacks of documents, the cleanliness and the stress on function over form. Under his appearance of a perverted and deviant highwayman, he is, in fact, a perverted and deviant businessman. Which is infinitely more dangerous. Perhaps, you will do. I can understand the pain of forcing the little princess to do anything productive. What is it that you need? I ask him. The man sits back in his comfortable chair. A young rogue by the name of André Villemain had the audacity of taking over one of our warehouses. Yesterday, he and his merry band broke in and set up camp among crates of our finest china. Baudouin waits to see if I react. I gesture for him to continue. If he needed Melusine, it means the situation needs to be resolved with a scalpel, not a hammer. Normally I would sick the boys on them and be done with it. Unfortunately, Villemain is the son of two rather important people and killing him would sour our professional relationships. I assume they cannot rein him in. Unfortunately, Villemain is at the age where one rebels against authority. Due to his lineage, he believes himself untouchable and flaunts his status to all who would listen. Worse, he attracted a gathering of children from good families and any bloodbath could impact our bottom line for years to come. You need someone to convince them to get out without resorting to violence. Not too much violence at least. He is quick to anger and your, fellow immortals tend to be heavy-handed. I need a delicate touch. I also need to send a clear warning. We simply cannot be trodden upon. That is why I cannot bribe him. This will require a delicate balance. And now you know why old Baudouin is troubled, lass. What can an artist like me do without proper agents to carry my will? I scoff. I am willing to try, but I require something in exchange. The cunning negotiator's eyes suddenly turn cold. And what would that be? Only general questions about the world. Despite my lessons, there is still much for me to learn. And Melusine's choice of materials is not to your liking? Let me guess, you know everything about Clan Lancaster's noble history. Since the War of the Two Roses, decade by decade. He laughs softly. Very well, as long as it is nothing too serious. You would not try to turn on old Baudouin now, would you? Of course not. I smile. He swallows nervously. I believe I shall never tire of the effect the eight fangs have on people. Before we leave, there is a small matter of security. I am sure you understand. I am immediately wary. I will require you to wear this while we are outside. He stands up and walks to a safe. A moment later, he retrieves a richly decorated bracer from it. It looks like jewelry that gypsies would wear. All gold and bright color. What is it? A tracking object, linked to Lady Moore herself. Magic? Yes. Should you try anything that could damage me or the clan, she will be able to track you and disable you. That means our reputation too. And don't you try to remove it. Better people than you have failed. I measure my desire to get out of this filthy den against my unwillingness to be chained like a dog. Eventually, I choose to preserve my sanity over my dignity. Besides, if it comes to that, I may be able to chop off my arm and reattach it later. I am that desperate. The bracer is frigid against my skin and I can feel something dormant in the pattern of gold and stones that decorate it. Let us go then.